Hi, guys, and welcome to Divergent Motivation. And today I have guests with me. We don't know what we are going to talk about because this is completely organic. So come along and join us and have fun while we're at it. Okay, so Gaz, nice to meet you. And I'm going to step the role to you now. Where do you want to start? Want to start from the beginning, the middle, or the end?
Well, I thought just like a statement of fact about who we are, just to give a little bit of background, would be interesting. And then I thought I would play partial critical thinker, partially interviewing you because I want to know more about your involvement with the Baron David Affidavit, where it started, your connection to him. I need to know that. I want to know that. I want to know how that work continued from him. But just a little bit about me first, and then I want to ask you if you had to summarize yourself in 5 words. I mean, I'm a musician, producer. I'm a naturopath. So, natural healing of the body. I've been doing that for 26 years. Very aware of frauds across most of the systems of life, whether that's been financial, the allopathic fraud system of health. I cut through that in the 90s and got into naturopathy. I'm a truth finder more than anything else. So I'm here hopefully to find out truth for myself and help other people at a really important time to find out what the truth is in what you've been involved with in the Baron David Ward. I tend to find the good things in the universe. So I'm here because I found you and the Baron David Ward Affidavit. And having read it 3...
Let's not forget Anthony.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Anthony. Yes, exactly. And but I am a novice in it, so I'm going to be partial fool. I'm not going to be an expert. I'm not an expert in it. I've just started my first letter. It took me a month to do the first letter. I've read the Baron David Ward Affidavit 3 times. I've absorbed Stacey and Anthony embodying it absolutely amazingly well. They attracted me to it because I recognize their spirit, right? And that I only activate my brain when I see the spirit is correct, right?
Yeah.
So those two have the spirit of authenticity. I can see the strength in what they're doing. It resonates with me. So that pulled me into wanting to know more. So that's pretty much me, but I'm here to be critical thinking. But I want to hear how you describe yourself. And first of all, I suppose, once you've gone from that, I'd like to know how you met the Baron David Ward, how you were introduced to his way of thinking, his breakdown, and how you've continued his work, and what motivated you to continue his work, and how you've set up these groups.
Yeah. Okay. So first, I can only before Baron David Ward, I would describe me as a hairdresser, a writer, this and that and that and that. And after Baron David Ward, I stick to the facts. So the only thing I can say that is factual is I'm a minister of my own energy and matter in movement, because this is factual. So there is no more attachments, because I'm here to trying to understand what the hell am I doing here. And basically that's where I stand at the moment. Yeah, so energy and matter, and I'm trying to figure it out. Well, I already figure it out because I can already move my arms and my mouth and all of that. So part of that energy is already mastered. Now it comes to a point that we need to master the reality where we live in. Yeah, and that one is the one that I'm still trying to figure it out, where all this fits into one single equation, which I already understood that it's impossible. Yeah. And to the second question, where did I met Baron David Ward? It was in 2020. I'm still trying to figure it out. How the hell did I got to that document? Because that document was the first thing that I don't know. I didn't have Facebook for a long time. Then I opened the Facebook because I had my account associated with a hairdressing. So I decided to pop in there to see if I would do something with it or I would close it for good. And I got that. I don't know. I don't know if I tried. I tried many times to go after where and how did I get that document, because I had no one that was like friends on Facebook, and I start reading it, and it took me about a week. But at the 4 pages, after the 4 pages, I was already like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is big, And after a week, I was in tears. Yeah, my tears were falling down my face because many things happened in my life, and reading what was in there, especially with the banks and all of that, I saw many episodes of my life coming into fruition, but this time with a closure, you know. And that's why I was in such a state. And my first thought was the next day. I said, I'm gonna send him a message. I have to speak with him. I have so many questions, and I need to speak with him. So I sent him a message, but I wasn't expecting him to reply. And straight away he replied to me, and he said, glad that you had the time to read it, but let me tell you that this is just the beginning. You will encounter on your next level the liens. So we exchanged a few messages, and then he said to me, "You know what? I'm not in a mood of writing. If you want, I'm just going to prepare a cup of coffee, and we can chat over the messenger." And I was like thrilled. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that we are going to actually be speaking," And yeah, then we spoke that day for, if I'm not mistaken, 3 hours. Yeah. And the conversation went from affidavit to for him telling me that the next step would be the liens, him telling him a little bit about myself, and it went on to other different subjects because he was so. I consider him out of this realm, in a sense that he was so knowledgeable, but with wisdom, if that makes sense. It wasn't something that he would keep for him, but he made sure that he would apply that knowledge. Yeah. So this was about yeah, in 2020. Then I decided, because I'm Portuguese. Yeah. And I decided to start to translate the affidavit, because there were a lot of words that I didn't understand. And I would send him a message, and he was a little bit and harsh, yeah, at times. And I didn't want to keep on, being that, oh, can you please tell me? Because the first time I asked him that, he said, "Do you have internet?" And I said, "Yes." "Okay, so what the hell are you asking me for?" Do your research, you
Yeah.
know, those type of questions, those type of answers that was very specific from him, but that I liked it a lot. Yeah, because he would make me do the work, instead of always being asking and heard from him. Instead, you go and you do your own research. So I decided to do that, and when I told him, I translated the affidavit for Portuguese, and he was like, "What? You did what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did it. I did it. I went after the words and I translated." And he was like, "You are the first one that did that, because many people, even when he was writing the affidavit, he had asked people to read the affidavit, and he would still be waiting if he didn't took the action to put it out. So I had a little bit difficulty with that because there was a lot of spelling mistakes in there, but that didn't stop me. So I went and created the segment on YouTube, which I was reading the affidavit in Portuguese and letting do a breakdown of the affidavit at the same time for the Portuguese people.
Yeah.
It went from there. Yeah, basically.
How long did that take?
Oh, it took me a while because I only served the affidavit. So this was about June, and I only served the affidavit in November in Portugal. Yeah, so it took me. Yeah, it took me a while, and because I was, there was a lot of questions. We had to add some stuff for the Portuguese, which is because they have the constitution. So we have. He wrote me like a little text for the constitution. So basically, that was it. I don't know if you had a third question. I can't remember.
Yeah, and after he died, what was the feeling of responsibility, or what then prompted you to carry on the work, and who set up the groups? Anything about that? I don't really know the history of the groups.
Okay, so the first.
All I know is, Stacey is my first connection to it on Facebook.
So the first group he created was Security by Way of Lien. So it was his creation.
Oh, he created that when he was still alive on Facebook.
Yeah. So he created that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in 2015, because he needed a place for him to put the liens, so public space.
Yeah.
So he did like 38, if I'm not wrong, 38 liens after that. So that's where he set up that group for that. Yeah. And after that, Adrian James, he set up around the same time, because when I met Baron David Ward, there was Adrian James at the time, and Scott Herbert and Dave Kingswood. There were a few others, but I had more contact with Adrian at the time. And Adrian, he set up the freedom by way of an email, because it was another group that was attached to Security by Way of a Lien, for the people that are sending by email the liens, that they can also have a place to publish the liens. Then there was Bring the Light, which is Scott's, and there is now Correct the Unlawful Legal System. Yeah, but I've always been. But this is my way of doing things. Yeah, I'm always on the background. I don't like to be. I don't like Facebook. I've been there a little bit, but then I just fed up, and the energy is not something that I like of Facebook. Yeah. So they invited me to be admin on the security. I've been there a little bit, but I can't deal with slow walkers, so it wasn't for me.
How do people, who works out who qualifies as an admin?
It's not Well, it's not a qualification. It's more of you being ready to give support to the amount of questions that we get through the channels.
Yeah.
So the word admin, it's not uh, uh, like you are, not what the word really intends to, but it's more like if you are ready to speak with other people and show them where
Yeah.
they need to look into the documents. That's where you get yeah. So like I have the group on Telegram. If I see that you've been doing leans and everything is okay and you are honorable, yeah, I will probably add you as an
Yeah.
admin so you can start. Yeah, it's more an helping tool than.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a responsibility though, right? I mean, you need to, the people know it that seem to
Yeah,
be the admins, you know. I mean, they
yeah.
are a
Well,
voice of authority, you know.
yeah, yeah, I think the responsibility goes from the first page when you read the affidavit, which
Yeah.
is our great honor. So it's not such a responsibility, but it should be your honor to let others know what you know. You know,
Mm, mm.
yeah,
I mean, having read it for the third time today, I mean, it is all there and it all is all self-explanatory. But I think actually, in terms of this conversation, I just want to kind of explore its applications in a way,
hmm
and get into the spirit of it, I suppose, to see maybe how you feel about the spirit that encapsulates it and its applications and the range of its applications. I'll give an example of that. I mean, for me, you know, whichever walk of life I break down, I see the same deceits happening. You know, whether it's virology, when you ask them for material proof of viruses, it breaks down, right?
yeah,
So, which, whichever field of this fraud we're in, it breaks down under the same pretexts. So, in a way, I view it as our responsibility almost to use our kind of sovereign brains. It's like I view myself as a divining rod for the truth almost. So my responsibility is to make myself as pure as I can so I can work out where the truth is. So I only use my brain. I only use my brain when this divining rod tells me truth. I feel truth, right? So I feel truth in the Baron David Ward, and now I'm giving it my brain. I don't stick in a library all day learning useless facts. I only use my brain when this tells me to use my brain, right? So
exactly.
I've given the Baron David Ward my brain. He's had my brain, and he's going to get more. And yeah, I'm fascinated. So, but I suppose my first point is this: in amongst a global tyranny, where all of these things across every field, whether it's law, the allopathic, medical fraud, the legal system, we see the same deceits basically, where they're trying to deceive you with a hall of mirrors into giving up your sovereignty. So we think we're not the expert and we kind of hand that over. And that was certainly the case with me with the sort of legal system. I knew it was a fraud, but as a musician, it was way too boring for me. So I didn't give it my brain, you know, but I did give my brain to other things. So in a way, this is the last part. This is the last part for me because it was so boring. The other one that was so boring was the climate change. For me, that was like, okay, I know it's fraud because we've got a sun in the sky and they go around, you know, in the cycles of sun and radiation. And you cannot claim that man produces weather from 0.0015 of carbon. I knew that, and the rest was boring, so I didn't give it my time. So in the last 3 years, I've kind of had to go, okay, that's not good enough anymore. Because everything that's worth doing, they probably hide within the boring stuff. You know, the law system, they hide a lot of stuff that we need to know in there in order to deceive us. So it was a kind of like, okay, knock, knock. You're going to have to go into the stuff that's a bit boring for you in order to gain your sovereign power here a little bit. So there were two main areas. I've done the climate change thing. And now the final part for me is actually the law thing, right? So I've been quite a good boy during my life. I've been self-employed as a bit of a rebel. But the funny thing is, I've always paid my tax and I've always paid my bills. And, you know, if you gave me a fine through the post saying you were caught, you know, your car stayed over, you know, but we'll give you that as a deal for 30 quid. But if you wait a week, it's 100 quid. I would have jumped into it and said, oh, thanks very much, you know, because actually I would have said my time is more valuable than your fraud. So rather than me fighting it and spending, you know, what's my time worth? To be honest, when I'm doing something I don't love, I'm £1 million a minute, right? So if you're going to get me to do shit I don't want, I'm £1 million a minute. But when I love doing it, I'm free ad infinitum, right? Right. So when somebody comes along with a charge like that, my attitude would be, my time is too valuable. Here's your fucking money. It doesn't mean anything to me. I sometimes have loads, I sometimes have none. I'm a prince and a pauper, but not according to the frauds. What I've learned today is that P on our passport means pauper. So I'm not that kind of pauper. I'm only the pauper when I want to be the pauper, right? So that's exactly. Right. So here's it. Let me turn this into a question. The question is this: I see within the Baron David Ward the potential on a spectrum, a really important part to bring the whole fucking system down, one lean at a time, right? Right. But I also see people in there that just want to escape paying stuff. Right? They just, you know, and that's acceptable too, because, you know, the fraud system has created a situation of hyperinflation. It's, you know, from my point of view, I was speaking to Anthony about this last night, and we were talking about, you know, how it's an engineered collapse. And from my point of view, I've done my research. There is an engineered collapse of the financial system in place at the moment to bring in programmable digital currency that means fuck all, but it will mean something to the controllers, because they will be able to track every journey, every transaction, every choice we make, and give it an environmental social governance score in order to combat man-made net zero climate change. This is where they want to go, right? So I want to bring this down, and I want to use the Baron David Ward as a part of that. But this system is bringing people to intentional collapse. So I'm not against people just not being able to pay their bills. But for me, if you were to talk to me about money being illusory, I know that, and I know that this is so serious, what's going on at the moment, behind the smokescreen of fake viruses, which as a naturopath, I've known since the 90s that viruses are not the cause of disease. Poisons are that accumulate in your bodies, right? So right, knowing the bigger fraud and knowing what they are doing, because I use my brain, because I'm a good researcher and an investigator. My God, I'm good. You know, I've stopped my music. My career was going very well, thank you. I had big fucking singles and albums coming out. They were big, right? I was working. I've been working 5 years on my new album. I've stopped because I've got a daughter. This is this serious. I've stopped to research, and I've stopped earning money because I know that they are collapsing money. So where does the Baron David Ward for you sit on that spectrum of utilization against what we're facing? Because if you read his words, people that believe in money believe in cuckoo land, in nothing. So how many barons and baronesses, if they really subscribe to his bigger vision, are being still forced into earning money? You know, where does this end? It's massive. That document is massive. I've been trying to work with local people. One final thing, I've been trying to work with people locally here in the face of what's been going on. And while they fight, you know, mask mandates and medical protocols, you know, and the rest of it, which we had to fight, we're all pulled into that pantomime. My question was, what lies behind that? We have to work out what is behind that in order to evolve solutions to what is behind that, right? So because I found out what was behind that, which is sustainability goals by the United Nations, by these frauds, right? Implemented to control all of nature, to lease back nature, to give it a value, so that they control everything we do within this digital gulag of carbon, literally, where we're going to be accountable for everything we do, given an impact score. There is no place for money within that, because as they pull that into programmable money, we're literally going to be pulled down into slavery if you go along with it. So the money that we've been forced to work for is going to have no value. I knew that for 2 years ago, so I stopped working. I've got a daughter. I don't want to, we leave our world for the next, we want to leave a better world. This isn't about me. This is about actually trying to fight for the next generation so they get a better world, not a worse world in a digital gulag with these psychos running every, commodifying nature. That's the way I put it. They're commodifying nature and leasing it back to us, right? So unless we get with the Baron's words and realize that money is ridiculous, they're going to pull it so it means nothing, and only then will we wake up. So the question, sorry, a long intro there, but the question for you, where in that spectrum do you and the other barons and baronesses, they're all individual, I know, but where do you see it utilized in that bigger picture that he definitely seems to understand in that affidavit, right? He understands the bigger fraud.
Yeah,
Over to you.
He said to me many times. Oh, we are doing an echo. Is you or
really?
me?
I'll turn my volume, probably me, I expect. Try that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Good.
It's good for me. Is it all right for you?
Yeah, good. So he said many times that the affidavit, and I would like people to really grasp why is the affidavit not an affidavit.
Hang on, I can't hear you now.
Yeah, maybe when I'm talking, you can mute yourself,
so
it won't be.
Good idea. Yeah. How do I do that? Okay, good idea. Yeah.
Done. Yeah, good. Yeah. So what happens is, being the affidavit, which he made that document to not just for him. So that was the full purpose of having a decree. It becomes the affidavit because you have many affidavits. Yeah. So you can use an affidavit pretty much for any personal matter that you are involved with, and by him putting a decree on it, it make the document available for anyone. So at this point, it's not Baron David Ward's affidavit, it's ours affidavit. And he always told me also that we will probably not grasp, not in this lifetime, the full storm that this document is. But we might individually experience the full potential of the foundation, because I call it the foundation. It's the affidavit for me, it's my foundation. I don't do anything without it. So I bring my foundation on that. And he called us, well, me and the people that were at the same time, he called us the second wave. So he was so clever into seeing the motions of the document. Yeah. And so me, Scott, Adrian, we are the second wave. You guys are the third wave. Yeah. And slowly by slowly, we are going to start to create and implement new solutions. Because if we base things on the old and the patterns that we've been creating, you will continue to have the same thing over and over again. So the idea of this affidavit is to open your awareness that everything that you have is in a piece of paper. So this is the second dimension. Yeah, you live in the third dimension, right? The two cannot be together, but the two can utilize each other, right? So what you are doing now is that you are telling the second dimension that, hey, stop, you cannot move forward, because if you want to come and play my game, this is how I play the game now. I'm not doing your game. We change the game. So this is, for me, is one of the functions that I see using the affidavit. So I'm changing the game. And by changing the game, I'm creating a new reality, a new tunnel, right? That's why when I speak about the affidavit to people, I tell them this is not a collective, guys. Forget the collective. The collective is what brought us to this moment. So you cannot go with a collective, because the collective is corrupted. You know, there is, like you were saying in the beginning, there is this and that and that and that and that, and people go with this opinion and that opinion and their belief system and another belief system. No, no, no. And what you need to understand is that, and this was something that Baron David told me as well, which is, do you think it's the first time you have this document in your hands? And I was like, what? And he's like, it's not the first time we've been doing this. We've been doing this over and over and over again. So now either we really create anew, or we will continue to come and have the same jibber jabber all day long. So it's up to you guys. What are you going to make different? And those words for me, they stick, because I'm a solution kind of thinker. You know, I think in solutions. So that for me opened a way of me looking into things and say, okay, if I don't agree with what I have now, what can I think? What can I create outside of what I have? You know what I mean? So it's always I. You know, it's nothing to do with the outside or the exterior. So if each one of us barons, and I find it another thing very peculiar, is that we are not together. For me, I see us like we are strategically, at this time, we are strategically separated, you know, in various areas on this plane. Yeah, which is also good, because you have more power to project whatever you want to project. But that I will leave it to another talk. But this is how I see it, and I had many talks with Scott about it, in creating communities, and those communities being based on the affidavit, which is your honor, learning how to give value again to your word, because it was something that they made us lose. So you stick to your words, and what can I say in respect of what they are creating? I mean, I have a different vision for they. I know who they are. And when I say they, I know exactly who am I referring to. And at this point, I know that they are scared to death. Because there is a lot of things going on. Yes, there are. But what they are sending to us, it's more of what the pattern that they've been repeating through the history. Yeah, because if you go back 100 years, they've been doing the same thing over and over again. Every 10 years, you have this pattern of them collapsing the system so they can bring whatever they want to bring, you know. So when you start to identify that there is a pattern here every 10 years, there is a pattern every 50 years, there is a pattern every 70 years, you start to understand, wait, what is the main juice? What is the foundation of this pattern? Is fear. Why do they feed us the fear? And I've come to the conclusion that they know that we are the creators, and we create everything we want. Because this system that so many people say, oh, we have this system, and I mean, it's your fault. It's our fault. We created this system because we allow it to exist. So if you want to change it, you have to create something new. You have to create something outside of your creation before. Yeah. You wanted to say something?
Yeah. Yeah, I really do. Yeah. Yeah, no, I dig all of that, but with one very important addendum. I think we have to acknowledge that there is a. Let's start with the good bit. I completely confer with your idea that there is a force that is trying to cut us off from our creative brilliance as a part of nature. There is but we have to acknowledge, for me, where I've arrived is, we have to acknowledge there is this fucking psychopathic death cult. There's no other word for it. There is a psychopathic death cult that has been on this fucking planet controlling covertly all of these systems. I've traced it back 200 years, and other people, that's not my expertise. There are many other people that have traced it back thousands of years. That's not my lineage. But
way back, way back.
Yeah, exactly. But
I'm more into that.
Sorry?
I am more into that. I like to go and research a lot about like ancient Sumerian and
yeah.
So
yeah. No, I understand that. I understand that. I understand lots of different ideas about that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Of course.
There is nothing new. Nothing new. They've been doing the same thing over and over again. But there is a pattern that I was able to identify, and that pattern is because, and this is just my opinion. Again, I don't have any facts to corroborate this, but my opinion is that at some point, we, the men and women that are pure and that are creators and that are not NPCs, we were at some point infiltrated with a parasite. And that's why we don't use our capabilities. And that's why we vibrate in the fear that they've created, and that's why many people have doubts. And that's why many other people just want to get out of debt. And I tell them that this is way bigger than that. That is just the beginning, because once you start to understand that there is no way for you to have debt, or they tell you that you owe anything, once you step into your power, all of that will disappear. And that I can tell you from my first-hand knowledge, because I used to live in fear, and I used to be like you, paying everything. Let me be the nice slave, and no more. And I feel, and what I can tell you is that every time I have to do a lean, my full energy goes into that, and my thought is only like, you motherfuckers, you hit a bridge that you are not going to cross, because I will not.
I think my the foundational feeling of putting my time in is flipped from this doesn't deserve my time because I'm millions of pounds an hour when I'm doing something I hate and fighting bastards I hate. So has gone to now this is foundational, because I'm not paying because I refuse to erect this gulag of control that they're creating. So it's unconscionable for me to pay them to erect that around my daughter for her life, right? And for us, so it has become like you, where I put my love into it now. So it's very, very much changed, in terms of what you talk about, the parasite of fear. I mean, in my language, yes, it could be a parasite of fear. I would translate that as a naturopath with a particular interest in toxicology, into the fact we've been poisoned, so that this divine vessel has been poisoned from birth, so that we're not in touch with that divine kind of strength and that intuitive ability. And that's been their intention, to cut us off from that, so that they can control us without a doubt. But I want to get into some quite abrasive questions, bit challenging. Let's see how you do with these. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. I mean, what most people are fixated about at the moment is, do things work? And when people think about what they mean by does it work can mean different things, right? Mm-hmm. So to some people it's the bailiffs go away, or I didn't have to pay. What does it works mean for you?
I don't know. Yeah, because yeah, again, that was one of my main reasons of being repetitive in those groups for people asking those type of questions. Because again, I am a little bit ahead, so I cannot look at you because you are still starting to walk. I am, but I am very honest on that sense. I always said, guys, do not come to me because I am very straightforward. I hate slow walkers. I am moving, and I have no patience to educate people when they are starting, because I'm going to be like Baron David Ward was with me. I'm rude, I'm aggressive. I may sound that to people because I cannot stand the fact that you are not seeing who you really are. You are letting other energies coming and help in your life, and you don't have the courage to go and say no more. So because I am like that, and people are not like that. So I have no patience for that. And in my what works is it's me. It's always me. It's the energy. It's the way I say no. I will walk. I will walk this earth being free.
Yeah.
That's how I was. I was born like this. I never got married. This is one of the times my hubby asked me for us to get married because we have kids, and if something happened to one of us, yada yada, and I give it a thought a month, and then I start to have like itches all around me, because I was like that, because he was referring to me to other people saying, "Oh, my wife."
Yeah.
And that thing like mine, I'm not yours, I'm mine. I don't belong to no one. I'm free. You can ride along with me, but do not make me something that I am not. And I always had this situation when people are trying to fit me in the box. I can't. You cannot contain the container. I'm sorry. And if you want to go that way, yeah, okay, you are free to do your choices. You are free to go and live your life, but you cannot ask me for my opinion. Because you won't like my opinion. I can only say that I lived having bailiffs at my door, and they last 2 minutes and 49 seconds. They left me alone. I went after the guy the time to tell him, "Hey, I'm not finished." Yeah. I mean, when you have your energy, it goes like a radius far and wide, and people can sense it,
Yeah.
So I know that the people that came here, they sense that, and the people that I speak with, they sense that. I went to change my no, to renew my passport and the other card to London, to the Portuguese consulate, and I went there with an idea of this is what I want to experience. I want to know things for myself. Yeah. So when we went inside, when was the time to sign? I signed for and on behalf of Carla Frederico. They went bananas, and I stay there like I'm talking here with you. And I told her, she said, "You cannot sign like this, you cannot sign like that." And I said, "Okay, why can I not sign my own signature?" Who's signing here? And because I was so calm, she just went like crazy. You cannot sign it like this, I tell you. And I told her, listen, it's you who are making the choice, isn't it? Because I am the one who has the pen and signing. You are not me, so you cannot tell me how can I sign for me. So it's going to be on you, this one. So if you cannot provide me the evidence that I cannot sign the way that I want to sign, you are in a big trouble. I am not in a big trouble. You are. You know. Yeah.
I missed how you were signing. Can you just say it again? And how were you signing?
For and on behalf. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carlo Federico.
And what happened in the end to that?
Well, nothing happened. Well, they had to call the paramedics because I think she went a little bit bananas too much. And I came home and I did my own documents. The house of Federico created the document, the passport. And now Miss Carla Federico is an ambassador. Well, I don't have the P anymore.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. But this, I tell you this because again, this was something that I wanted to experience for myself because I wanted to see how my knowledge could be wisdom. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I learned a lot from that experience. I felt because before I would be shaking and oh my God, I'm in another country, I have no documents. And because she was the one refusing, so for me, I was growing bigger and bigger and bigger because I knew that she didn't know what she was talking about. But I knew that me signing this way is creating a detachment from your system that you guys created, which is based on fraud. And I am removing my blood, my meat, my bag of bones. It's not there giving life to your system. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was
I totally know what you mean. Yeah.
That's how I wanted.
I guess I expected you to. I kind of knew you were going to. I knew you were going to get into that. I knew you were going to say that. Of course, because I've experienced that already. It's like a deprogramming, and actually, for it to work, I guess my next question would be. I've kind of shifted already from I would just love to get the bailiffs from the door, and ultimately when I started it, I was thinking I'm going to be so clever with this lien. They're gonna bow down, put up the white flags. And then they're just going to leave me alone. And that's what I thought. That's what I thought working. That would work for me. And as I began to do it, I've realized that what's working for me is actually deprogramming, losing the fear, as you say, and actually just embodying the truth more, the truth of my original being, which is free and outside of these imposed fraud rules, right? So for me, I mean, that document is transcendental because it just connects you back to things that, like good mysticism or anything does, it connects you back to the truth. And I've always known a lot of that stuff in that document, but my God, it's so great to read it, and I feel it in my being. So I've changed already to what works is my growth within it, not necessarily
you will understand the power of the pen.
Yeah, but here's my question though. Potentially I'm now arriving at a point. I want to make this point. Once you realize castle doctrine and the rights of castle doctrine thoroughly, I have lots of friends who have followed common law and things locally, which it never attracted me. I never resonated with trying to be clever in the Magna Carta. It was like that doesn't resonate with me, and it also seems to have occurred all around the country at the same time as the solution with crypto. So I was quite suspicious of that as a false rabbit hole. So I avoided, but we have talked about castle doctrine within that because that is quite a common precept. and people seem to understand castle doctrine. So here's my question. Although I really, really value the growth process of what I'm now doing, and I'm going to continue with it, make no bones about it, if I spend the rest of my life sending out liens that everybody ignores, that nobody holds up white flags, right? And they all just send a criminal, as Anthony says, I love his quote to me the other day. He said, criminals will always be criminals, Gaz. And I end up saying that every day now, right? If they keep sending the criminals around and they keep going after me, what's the difference? I'm being a bit disingenuous here. It's a bit of a simple question in a way. What's the difference between me just knowing my rights under castle doctrine and fending them off at the gate and building up my fortress and not bother doing the Baron David Ward, other than that I grow massively by doing it because I get to know my true self and know my rights? I mean, all that growth, putting that aside for a moment, if I don't get anywhere by doing the liens and nobody accepts it and they still send the frauds out to my door, what's the difference between me just knowing castle doctrine and ignoring Baron David Ward? Bit of a crass question. Sorry for that.
Yeah. Well, I think that understanding the castle doctrine is that what does it say? What does it say? It's a notice, right? It starts.
Well, I just mean that nobody can come in to enforce anything. So if I know that, let's say I've got a.
It doesn't really say that. It's
Right.
a notice. So you are giving notice to anyone that all their actions from that moment forward, it will be on them. So people think that using I mean, I always say this, it's not the paper that is going to save you. It's your knowledge and then applied to wisdom. So it doesn't matter if you have a lot of knowledge, but then you don't transform it into wisdom. None of my papers do anything for me. You understand? Yeah. So I know that each page, I have what, 6 liens now. I'm preparing the 7. I have the lowest liens. You know why? Because I have a different approach to looking at all of this fake reality. Yeah. So I work a lot of things with my energy, you know, because I know that everything is energy. And if I want to expand and let the awareness get to other people, at least, again, this is how it works for me because I believe in it. I have the power. I am the highest authority, so I'm going to prevail that highest authority. Yeah. So if I have a castle doctrine on the entrance of my house, and if there is an intruder, I will point him. Have you read that? And he's going to ignore it. And I'm like, okay, be worried, because anything that you will do after, it's your responsibility, is on you. Because I have evidence that stops you right there. So again, it's putting always on them because they are the trespassers. You have the notice there. They don't need to read it, but you point it to them. So the second time that they have the opportunity to change their actions. Yeah? And then there is a on my channel, I do like how do you call it? Like play roles where I create scenarios and I escalate the scenarios to make people start thinking in a way of solution and not in a way of reacting, you know, because every time you are reacting, you are defending. But why are you defending if you are the highest authority? It doesn't make sense. Yeah. So let them play what they have to play. Let them do what they have to do. Yeah. And you stand your ground in honor, because you cannot become a criminal like they are, you know, and we know that they do a lot of things, but most of the times, and I've been saying this to people, when they bring me a situation and I show them, you were the one escalating the situation. You weren't in control. because you want to speak, you want to show that you know something. Shut your mouth. Just go and point to the things that are factual, your evidence, and shut your mouth. Don't speak. Why the hell are you speaking with people that have like a pea brain? There is no point of that. Keep it, keep. I mean, there are battles. If you are going to fight every battle, I mean, you will be exhausted for the war. Okay, so make your situations worth your while.
Yeah.
So my strategy is always this: analyze the situation not from an emotional state. You need to be able to become more general. And people don't get this. They read the words, but don't interpret the words that they are reading. Maybe it was a little bit easier for me because I'm not English, so I had to go and dissect every single bit of the words. So it was a bit easier for me to grasp things that probably others aren't grasping. But for me, I know that there is a baroness, so when I need to put my hat of my baroness, that's the hat that I'm wearing. There is an attorney general. I need to put that at every time I'm dealing with this shit show personality. And then there is the at of my legal embodiment, the principle. So which one are you going to use? It will depend on the situations that are coming your way. But if I have the doctrine on my door, I have to put my at of Attorney General. I cannot put my at of the Baron, because they don't understand. They will call you a free man on the land and yada yada. No, I have to go and put my at of my Attorney General. And my Attorney General is the one who deals with this situation. And how does he deal with it without emotion?
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't actually thought. I hadn't thought into the role of Attorney General between that and your Baroness. What's the differentiation between those two?
So the Baroness, it's your natural descent. Yeah. It's where you live by your natural living. Do no harm, cause no loss or injury.
Yeah.
You keep your honor. Your word is your honor. You're a baroness. You're a baron, right? An attorney is the one who deals with all the jibber jab on paper. He's the one doing the
okay.
Right? Every time I'm writing, it's my Attorney General who's writing.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot be the woman, because the woman can never be on paper.
Yeah.
Right?
That's interesting. Very good. Yeah.
So your position, there is a lot of things that people need to understand, that it doesn't really matter. Just read the affidavit. You have to read, sleep, and read. Yeah. But it doesn't really matter if you are just reading and you are not comprehending what you are reading, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't know what was malfeasance, misfeasance, and I had no clue what the hell is this, So I had to go research etymology of the word, then I had to go to the legal side of it, and then it clicked, and I was like, oh, you have to come to this situation of now I see,
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, I can see that you embody it. I can see that Anthony embodies it, and Stacey, and I'm sure there's numerous other people. That doesn't come from reading something. That comes from embodying it and turning it into a living, breathing, philosophical outlook and knowing. I can see that, and it's only by doing it and evolving that understanding and taking it inside and making it a living, breathing thing that it will work. I mean, I've noticed a change already, and a real basic, just to give it a real basic baby terms. I mean, I can honestly look back at my life and say that when people have made claim against me throughout my life, my natural inclination, probably from mum and dad situations, is to protect myself against false claim. And most of the fraudulent systems in this, most of the fraudulent psychopathic systems in this society work in the same way. They immediately make false claim, and my natural inclination is to protesteth my innocence. So immediately within, months of doing it, even in this house now, when there's an argument, it's like he or she who makes a claim bears the burden of material evidence, and I'm not doing anything, and that feels really, that alone feels so transformative.
Yeah.
Because people are making claims all the time, and I used to kind of go, oh, no, let me clear my name. Oh, I'm not guilty. Now it's like, I don't give a fuck. That's prove your claim. It's brilliant. I absolutely love that. That makes total sense to me. That's already been really transformational. So already, Baron, thank you for that. I mean, it's a basic understanding, but it should be a basic understanding. It shouldn't be that clever, because we need to be brought back to the truth is quite simple. Deception is complex, right?
Yeah.
Always. That, I think, anyway. So I like to be brought back to simple truth. So with that in mind, let me just look at some things that I've written down here.
So I think the most important thing that people need to understand is that nowadays, when Baron David Ward was alive, many of us, me, Scott, Dave, and Adrian, we would stand in like, okay, he's got it, and we just go and help where we can, and we do our job. And when he passed away, we felt like, oh my God, we don't have the groundhog anymore. Oops. Okay, either we continue to hold the torch, or what are we going to do about it? And it's been amazing to see how the groups grow, and it's amazing to have Stacy and have Anthony on board. I love Anthony to bits. I mean, I just love that.
Amazing, yeah.
He makes me laugh in ways that is just fantastic, and it's good because you. Like me and Scott, we are always in contact, and Adrian and Dave, you it goes beyond the affidavit. We are creating things together, like, because we have the foundation. We know that is not right, but we can't fight it, because once you understand the affidavit, there is no fighting involved. We stop fighting. We don't fight. We don't argue. We just, I mean, you are bringing the claim, please provide the material evidence of what you are saying. So there is, and we want to, I have a son with 11. He went with he's very knowledgeable in the affidavit. He read it. He hears every time I'm in the calls. He's listening to me. Sometimes he already starts like, Mom, didn't they read it? And I'm like, apparently not. And so the other day he went to school, and the teacher told him that he needed to sign something, and he didn't sign. He said, I cannot sign. I need to take it home and read it and have a think about it. So he brought it home, and he was like, Mom, I asked me to sign this, but I know I cannot put my power pen in anything. So can you please tell me what is written in there? So I've read it with him, and I said, no, this means this and this and this. So if you break anything in school, like the computers or anything that they are going to provide you, will be responsible. So now it's your choice. Either you sign and you will be responsible for what you are signing, or you don't sign because you know that you cannot compromise. So this is what's missing with people. When I see people in the groups asking, how help me, or how do I stop paying this or that? I mean, it's not a stop paying, guys. You are seeing it wrong. You never paid to begin with. There is no paying. So challenge what they are telling you that you need to do. Just challenge them. Either you do that with an opportunity to withdraw, yeah, or you start a lien on the claimant. It's simple,
Yeah.
super simple,
Yes. Yes. I've got so many questions. I'm just wondering which one to.
Now it's my time for questioning.
Oh, go on then.
Okay, so I want to know from you, where did you get in contact with the affidavit? Where was your first time? When was your first time?
Pretty much. Yeah, I'll tell you what happened. The moment the pandemic kicked off, I started to use my Facebook very differently. I started to get rid of people that liked my music, right?
Yeah.
To create space for people that were talking the truth. And and as the censorship started to kick in and the shadow banning on my words, I was trying to get out my information as a naturopath, because I've followed virus fraud for 3 decades now, so I'm a little bit of an expert on viruses and how viruses are used as a smokescreen, let's say, for poisoning, intentional poisoning of the terrain, the body, right? So I was trying to bring that to light, and so I started to basically use Messenger and reach out like that, and just reach out to people that had the right resonance. And I found security by way of Lean or Stacy or something. And typically I just recognized the spirit of it, hung around. I watched the way that she was answering things. And then Anthony popped up, and I loved the way that he was, at the end of the day, we've got to embody it as a living, breathing, evolving entity, right? And we don't know where it's going to take us. This is interesting for me. If it becomes fossilized, will that kind of work in the absence of the Baron being here? It kind of it requires living, breathing people like yourself who are going to be able to improvise with it and to apply it and to live it, right? So, so yeah, I love the way they live it. It made a lot of sense. At that point, I put all my work away from Facebook, stopped my business, stopped my music, went local to try and get people to work, tried to get people to work in agorism, which is trade. What are you good at? What am I good at? Let's grow on the land together. How much land have you got? Let's work on the land and grow food. I could see what they were going to do with food and land and nature. I kind of clocked that quite quick. But, people aren't ready to move. People were more likely to be setting up businesses to earn money from fellow truthers trying to fight this than they were to actually trade. So I was literally fighting a losing battle. So I pulled back, kind of what you were saying, really, back to the realization I've always been very singular. My understanding is the more I evolve myself and move at my speed, the more I'm in touch with everybody anyway. You just are, we're all interconnected. The more I sort my energy out, and the more I'm at the highest vibration I can be of myself in my truth, that's kind of just connecting, So, but briefly, I was pulled into believing in the army. We need to have an army of us, an army versus an army, So, I tried to work with people locally. I've got some really good friends from that now. But, that was all. A lot of that was really controlled and infiltrated with false solutions that were really dimmed down consciousness. There's lots of real lower infiltration of the true spiritual going on. The New Age has been infiltrated so that we stare at our navel. This word solipsism. We stare at our navel and think that the world will be full of happy unicorns if we do nothing. As somebody who's done yoga and meditated for decades, I do know that we do connect and we become a higher transcendent form and we interconnect. I don't deny any of that, but you have to. There's work involved. There's work involved in doing that. There's changing and transformation, and I'm not scared of doing work, right? And using my brain when it's needed. As I said earlier, I don't use my brain unless it really needs. That's special. That's like a computer that I activate when it's needed. Otherwise, I operate out of different centers. So, other centers of like working out what's going on. So, yeah, I just found it like I find everything. I do tend to find most things that are good. I've always been a seeker and a finder, and I find things that are good. And yeah, I'm a.
Do you think you found it or he found you?
It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. But I mean, I'm not residing here. I'm still in a process of evaluating it, and maybe I'll help evolve it. Maybe I'll move on. I've no idea. At the moment, I'm definitely learning, and I'm going into it fully committed. I'm fully committed to learning about it, to evaluating what it means. But I'm already seeing and feeling foundational shifts in my outlook. So this has got to be, incredibly, it's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff.
It is. Today I received a call from the barons that are in India, and they wanted to let me know that they had like a very good push forwards of with the work that they've been doing, and he was asking me, Manvit, what do you think? Do you think that this is like a win? And I told him that it's not a win when you know that your adversary is very tricky. Yeah. So he wants to trick you, creating this apparent illusion. But when you start seeing the bigger picture, because they are going, it's a bank. Yeah. So bankers, they have their own language and they have their own nonsense going on. And I wanted him to understand that don't create that illusion in yourself. Be ready, because this is just one battle. You will have another one, and you will have another one. But the big war is coming.
Yeah. Well,
war, Baron David Ward made a self-sacrifice to show us, and no one is paying attention to that. No one wants to talk about that, And people need to understand that we came with nothing, and we will go with nothing. If you are attached to your house, to your car, to your this or your that, they will come for you. Sooner or later, they will come for you because you own nothing. But for that, you need to understand the language that they utilize for you to put your signature in there. So everyone that has mortgages or anything, don't think that this is a play in the park. It isn't. This is way bigger. This is way bigger. And when people think that, the affidavit is just to get you out of a fine or a council tax or whatever, no, it isn't.
Yes, precisely. I've actually escalated a PCN just to give me an opportunity to put my work into it, and because I know that the application of this is way bigger, as you say. It's way bigger. It's foundational. It is foundational. And you're right, whatever your fear is will kind of hit you and manifest. I believe in that aspect. But I mean, I don't really, ultimately, I'm just trying to lose any stories or narratives, really, in terms of like, is it going to be a good outcome or a bad outcome? It's just what it is. And I'm in my power to do the best I can to stay with that and to be, completely conscious and aware as much as I can throughout it, to be in my power through it, really. totally aware. Not in other words, not hung up on good or bad. I mean, we always want to know: is it going to work out okay? Is it going to be a happy ending? Are we going to win? These kind of ideas.
Each situation is a new situation, and that situation will ultimately have the outcome that you put your energy.
Yeah.
It will be the same outcome. So if you are doing weed and you are still afraid of the criminals that are going to knock on your door, that's exactly what you will have. If you don't understand that there is nothing to fear, you cannot be in fear, because otherwise you are continuing to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. I give a very specific situation, which is if you continue to see the same road, and you go through the same road over and over and over and over and over again, how the hell do you expect to meet new people? You won't, because you are doing the same thing over and over and over again. So for you to really grasp the affidavit, you have to unplug yourself.
Yeah.
There is a new you will be created after the knowledge. And the old
Okay, I've just suddenly remembered a very important question. You ready?
Yeah.
I've had quite a lot of we've all had quite a lot of experience, whether we know it or not, with dealing with either narcissists, psychopaths, or psychopathic systems, right? Right. So what I've learned from, whether it's spiritual cults or society, I now view it actually that there is a cult running society, and we live in cult dynamics, actually, very much within cult dynamics. Now, what I've learned about cult dynamics is this. It's a word called grey icing. You ignore them. You completely ignore them. You don't feed them. You don't give them anything, right? You don't give them anything. You don't, because they view you as louche, food. Everything you give them is food. Right, so here's my question. Because essentially all of this stuff, all of this fraud is coming from the creativity of this psychopathic cult, right? My natural inclination is to build my castle and to ignore them. So it takes a lot of retraining for me to now come into this system where we try and hold them gently accountable by their claims at every point, and we give them time. So I tell you, a major problem for me is actually the idea that I could be spending the rest of my life contracting by giving them my attention and like trying to hold them accountable, where my natural inclination with psychopaths is to say, no contract, I'm not giving you any of my time, I'm just ignoring you. Come round to my house and good luck. So this is taking quite a lot of reformatting of that, because that works, but I'm not sure if it works. And I'm confused about this because I don't really want to spend all my time while I've got time on here not being creative and doing leans every minute. I'm a little bit concerned about that, I have to admit. And part of me sees that as contracting with them, giving them my energy. How do you view that? Put me right. I can see you're doing a face. Put me right.
First, I'm not contracting. I am changing the rules of the game that they created, and I am telling them there is a new tariff in town. Second, I don't ignore them because you don't ignore a bully. Yeah. Again, if you are a bully, I will go straight at you and I will tell you what. And again, I am telling you that I will not be bowed down just because you are a bully. I can become one you want me to. So for me, I see that as the energy that you are sending my way, I'm going to send it your way, and that's it, the end. There is no more talking about it, because even if the same guys come or they change to another, I will always report to the same bully. So I always report to my liens, my previous liens. There they are. I have Baron David Ward's liens. Here they are. And that's the end. But again, I think that this works for me because that's my state of energy.
Yes.
That's why I don't. Again, I told you I only have 6 liens. I don't get any letters in my door. No one is knocking at my door. And I'm here, and no policeman. And even if that situation comes into place, again, I am a baroness. Well, they called me a fucking baroness, bastardess. But yeah, that's how I deal with the situation. I mean, I have the knowledge. If anyone comes and tells me whatever they want to tell me, yeah, I will be in my power, and I will always make you prove your claim. You want to,
Yeah.
you want to arrest me? Go ahead. I claim wrongly. This is when you get to this stage where there is no fear to feed. Because what they want is your fear. It's you thinking, oh, if this and that, then I will do this and I will do that. This is what you are feeding them in the end, And I don't play those games anymore. I used to play them a lot in my head, Now I don't. And now I can tell you that I am fucking free. I feel free. The first checkle that I got was that from the passport. When I left that consulate, I felt like I had a chain here in my ankle, and I just broke it, and I was laughing and smiling.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I have a family. My hubby and my son, they didn't do any of what I do. They went, they took their passports, and they were playing everything nice. I don't tell anyone to do what I do, because I do it because I have a need of freeing myself, and I have this need of me believing that I've always been free. And
So when you establish a lien and you've gone through that 6-week process, let's say, and you've got that, and they ignore it, is it the fact that you're in your integrity, you've established that legal instrument? It's a legal, it's there, right? It's there. Is it the fact that
it's a security instrument? It's not. It's a security instrument. It's completely different.
So is it the fact that you know that you've exposed the tyranny of the fraud, and that they can't back up their claims? So you're in your if that lien's not going to be used, how do you view that it's going to be used, other than that you're hoping it stops them, aren't you? Or is it more that it's just no?
I have again.
That's erroneous thought, is it?
Yeah. People that think that, they are creating another illusion. You have to stop creating illusions, And the thing is that they are criminals. They were programmed to be those criminals that they are, but they are not aware that they are criminals. For them, they are doing the right thing. For them, in their heads, they are completely and being honest and right and everything. So I mean, I'm not going to even have an argument, because there is no argument to begin with. You were trained one way. I have the evidence of no evidence on your part that I am right. And if you want to come to me, please just write, formally, what do you want to bring to the equation? If you don't have anything to bring, just don't come. So it's very straightforward, in a sense that I have my liens, and if they tell me now I'm going to travel, I'm going to travel with my passport from the house of Federico, and people sometimes they tell me, aren't you afraid? Afraid of what? I digged into their law books. I have been reading every single motherfucking thing that is on them to read. And in nowhere it states that I have to have their documents, their creation. This is my creation. He who creates controls. So if for you to come and tell me that this is not acceptable, Well, provide me the material evidence of what you are saying, right? If you can't
Yeah.
prove it, it means that I am right. You can
Yeah.
have your way of seeing things. It's fine by me. I have my way of seeing things, and we can get along. Just let me go. It's a pass the port. I am passing the port as an ambassador of the House of Federico. Prove me wrong, man. Who is the House of Federico? Well, the House of Federico is a lineage that it's here. Can you tell
Do
that
you,
this doesn't exist? It's my DNA.
I was speaking to somebody today, and I realised that. I mean, there's a moral counterpart to this, isn't there? In that foundationally, you know that you don't do harm to anybody, right?
Yeah.
So, but what I'm interested in, I suppose, for this question is, what about if people start trying to use the Baron David Ward affidavit because there is no law, and therefore, but then there's material evidence of their crime, right? So it doesn't work for them. You wouldn't be for people saying, I murder, I steal, but there's no law. So, but what would you say to that? That there's material evidence for their harm?
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
material evidence. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
The thing, yeah. For you to have a crime, you need to have a victim. Yeah. So if there is a victim, there was a crime. Okay.
Yeah.
And for that situation to be to have a honorable solution, we have nothing to do with it. It needs to be the part that was injured and the part that injured to have their own issues deal with. Like 6 members of this family and 6 members of that family get into an agreement. Why the hell do you need a janitor interfering?
Yes.
Why do they put 12 members of the jury when in fact they are not like you? They have not the same background. They don't even know you. Yeah, they are. It's hearsay what they are listening, because one part of the equation is telling one piece of what they want to say to influence you, and the other part is saying another piece to influence you. So where did we get it wrong? Since Babylon we've been getting it wrong, because we've been letting other people interfere in our matters because we are not responsible. We lost our responsibility for our actions in our words. Baron David Ward used to say action, words, and deeds. If you can't keep up with this, live in the system then, because the system was created for you and by you. So keep yourself in there. But I am going to create something else. I don't know what it is, but I'm going. I'm going. And I have an idea of what I'm going to create. Scott is already creating his idea. Dave, the same thing. We have people in Portugal also doing the same thing. Why do you need to have lots of people doing the same thing so you can see the results of what they are doing and then you do? No. Stop living in that la la land. You do, and the others will follow. That's simple. You do you, and if it works for you, wow, we will all celebrate it. But it has to come from you. You see, there is no other way of doing things differently this time. If we go back in history, we had like the guy that they called Jesus Christ and yada yada, and they put him on something there, and all of his people that used to follow him, none of them do anything. Are we going to continue the same things, doing the same things over and over again? It doesn't make sense. Even the history doesn't make any sense. If I was there and he was my friend, and he was speaking truth, I would go and die with him, because you will see me taking the guy out of there or fighting the others. So the history is written in a way to tell you that you cannot do things and be and save your friend, or so stop living in that and start creating new realities. We are creators, you know.
Doesn't it make you, I mean, in terms of like, this is a really important area. Let me try and get this question right. I always kind of know that I operate through truth and I don't wish to do any harm. That's just the way I live. So I've always felt able to be able to talk directly to people and sort things out, right? So I'm going to give you a hypothetical situation here, and I'm going to ask you, isn't it a shame that the Baron David Ward has to be used? And is there situations where you would just deal with it directly and not use the Baron David Ward? And I want to give you let me give you an example of that. Okay. I take some of your chocolate. Are you with me so far?
Yeah.
Right? But I take your chocolate for the next week every day, but like for the last 5 years, you've had loads of my chocolate, right?
Yeah.
Like loads, right? But you've got a problem with the fact that I've taken your chocolate in the last week. So you bring in a fraudulent private company operating under license from HM Government Fraud, another corporation, to come and try and redress the balance of the chocolate. You with me so far?
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes me sad, because I would just want to deal with that directly with you in terms of like, look, you've had loads of my chocolate. That wasn't a problem. I loved you having my chocolate. Why are you now making a claim about chocolate that you've given me in the last week? And why are you using this fraud company? Right, so here's my question. Yes, I would use the Baron David Ward to bat away the, I don't know if you call it the interloper company, or the fake company that is acting as an intermediary, who has no authority. I didn't give them authority to act. You know, where's the contract with me? Where's the agreement? They're a private company. They have no rights to act as the arbitrator, mediator in my private, and they're wrong anyway, because it's a false claim. So, but isn't it sad that I can't just get in touch with you? Or maybe I could, of course. With you, I probably would be able to. I would just get in touch with you and say, call the cowboys off. We can talk about this chocolate thing. But my question to you, now that you've heard that, is this. Yeah, of course I would get rid of the company by serving them with liens and saying, you know, you're just now claiming that I owe chocolate. I would get the claim on paper, and I would use the Baron David Ward against that company. But my question to you is, what happens to that original grievance with you about the chocolate? Yeah, I've got rid of it by getting rid of the company, serving the company, the Baron David Ward. But I, as a kind of a moral person, I feel somewhat sad that I'm getting rid of the company that you've set up to try and get chocolate from me. Whereas actually, I feel sad that you actually believe that I'm in the wrong about the chocolate. I'd like to deal with you about it. Where do you stand on situations like that, where people use intermediary bodies to make false claim, and you know that they're false claim, but you don't feel like you're dealing with the original grievance? Does that make sense?
Yeah, well,
in other words, I'm getting rid of the false claim of the intermediary company.
Yeah.
But if that is part of my life, like maybe that's my child, maybe that's payments for my child, for example, maybe there's millions of subjects that could be. I would kind of want it to be right for them and for me. Ideally, I would want to address the issue, not just get rid of the company that is falsely representing the other party.
Do you want to address the issue of him making you feel like?
Well, I'm not happy with the fact that you think that I owe you chocolate. That makes me sad.
Okay, but that's a feeling.
But because you've tried to bring in a private company to enforce this claim, I would kind of want to come to you directly and say, come on, I gave you loads of chocolate for years and I've taken some of your chocolate for a week. You've now used this company to come after me. I know they have no power on me, so I'm going to lean them and affidavit them. At what point do you use common sense, common morality, and not use the Baron David Ward?
From the beginning, there is a lot of ways I could work that thing out. I'm gonna work it halfway to see if I can then go to the end. So first, if I when you have the interloper, you just send him a notice of opportunity to withdraw. Okay, so get out of here, monkey boy, because this is none of your business. Because if you state that this is your business, then you have to prove your claims. Yeah.
First question: can you go straight to a notice of right to withdraw? Then I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's the first. That's basically how I roll. Someone comes, I send him a notice of opportunity to withdraw. You have 25 hours to rebut my affidavit. If you can't rebut it, so long, farewell, bye-bye. And
so what would you put in that? Would you feel the need to protect yourself against, if you were accused of stealing the chocolate, would you try and address that situation, or you wouldn't? Not at all. Not to the interloper. It's none of their business.
No. For him, I work if this, then that. If you continue to insist on pursuing this, then there will be consequences for your side. So remove yourself from the equation, because this is a situation that is non-judicial and prejudicial. So I'm going to go and speak with the one that I need to speak with, So basically, if let's pick up your situation now from a perspective of someone that has been utilizing the affidavit. If you are eating my chocolate and I am eating your chocolate, but then I am still ingrained in greed. Then I have to secure myself. But that's where I say to people, I mean, you need to analyze everything from your own point of being. If you are greedy, yes, you are going to look at the amount of chocolate that he's taking from you and not the amount of chocolate you took from him. So you have to analyze yourself. You are greedy. Let's be honest. One of the things that I love about the affidavit is this. Before I used to be honest, but I think now I am 200% more honest. I say things as they are. Let's not sugarcoat it. If I have to tell you in your face that you are greedy and you are still inflicting fear on others, I will tell you, and I would not hide it with anything. I will tell you straight in your face. And so having that set out, if I identify that I still have greed in me, and I know that further that will become an issue for me, I will make you sign an agreement. I mean, like I said in the beginning, everything is on in here. The paper is your material evidence, right? So you just start. You have your attorney general. Make your attorney general create an agreement with full disclosure, and put everything in there, the brand of the chocolate, how many pieces of chocolate, and everything in there, and say, you will only take my chocolate on Wednesday, and you can only take 2 pieces of my chocolate on Wednesday. And the chocolate has to be this and this and this, You cannot touch the other chocolates, just these 2 chocolates, and write it down and make the other party sign. And we have an agreement. If we go beyond that, then I have, then we have a tort. Then we have a disagreement because you failed with this first agreement.
See, I think when you become really adept at it, you can be much more flexible. But at the moment, because I'm very new in the process, I'm learning it almost like it's a process, and it is a process. In fact, when I attend those Zoom meetings, there's a process, and we're all going through it. So, for example, with that particular example, in fact, I would be advised to the interloper company that has been set the task of asking me for the chocolate. I'm now being asked to get those claims on paper from them so that I can pick out the claims so that I can lien that company. Whereas in fact, you've now indicated to me that you would do it differently. You would immediately go to a notice of withdrawal, in fact.
Yeah. And I will tell him.
I didn't know you could even do that.
Yeah, you can. I mean, the only thing that we tell people is to keep the structure of the document, and everything that you write from now on, keep it in mind, the Boolean grammar, and if this, then that. This is how your communication has to sound. Why? Because you start from the beginning, you expose the middle parts of the equation, which is full complete transparency, and you give a solution. But most of the times what people do when they are writing their documents is that I can clearly see there is a lot of emotion going on, and there is no structure in the document. So when you start to understand that you are your attorney general, you have to dedicate a little bit of time for your attorney general to read what he needs to be knowledgeable about. Right? I bought in 2021. I dedicated the year of 2021 for me to learn all the jargon that they use on the other side, because I need to know what are the arms that my opponent is using. So I have the Ellsbury's Laws of England. I have the Oxford dictionary. I got the equity and everything. So I got them all. So now I know what they are bringing into the table. But the X factor, it's me. They don't know what I am bringing into the table. And most of the times, if you read one of my opportunities to withdraw, I tell them that if you don't comprehend this document, you are showing incompetence and you should not be in your position. So do not reply. Just do the honorable thing and withdraw. This is none of your business.
So I'm assuming that, well, I won't assume anything. I'll just ask you. In terms of a private company assuming that they can act as mediator or adjudicator between you and another party, what do you put in that notice of withdrawal? I mean, I've read the affidavit, so I would know that a private company doesn't have the rights. But what would you put in there? In your notice of withdrawal?
Basically the same thing. Make them prove their claims on the letter that they send you. It's full of claims.
Oh, I see. So So back to my previous point.
It has a little bit more because you are, in a way, telling that. I mean, it's easy. If you go to the channels or the website, there are a lot of notice of opportunity to withdraw in the website, and you can have a read. We have them from Australia. Lisa, she's really good. Peter Joseph, I love the way he writes as well. What is amazing about this, it's because then you start to have this contact with other authors. I call us authors. We are authors of our masterpieces, and then you start to get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then you create your own masterpiece. But it's always the same. You will always find the same structure in the document. If this, then that. If you read Anthony's, I love reading Anthony's. I think he gives it a twist. If you read his opportunities to withdraw, you will have fun because you will see that we
laugh. We read them out loud here and we laugh. They're brilliant. They're brilliant. They're empowering, uplifting.
Yeah,
freeing, and yeah, they're brilliant. I love
yeah,
it.
Adrian,
And
Adrian.
they're the right balance, aren't they? Of
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
authority, the right balance of authority. Okay, so you've actually kind of, so it's still built around, because I was gaining strength from this structure that it's always about like claims and then just asking simply for proof of material substance of
Yeah,
claims.
yeah.
But
Because
for a
if
moment there, I
there's
misunderstood, because I thought that what you were saying was that you could give a notice of withdrawal that isn't based on claim at all. Just like, here's your notice of withdrawal. And only then, when they refuse to withdraw, do you start serving a
lien,
lien and go into
yeah,
that process. Is that
yeah.
right?
Yeah, because the thing is, when you have a third party saying that you owe them money, yeah, that's your claim right there. I don't even know you. How the hell can I owe you something? You know? And
Yeah.
if they withdraw, they will not send you any more communications, or sometimes they will send you saying that they sent the alleged debt to the first person. Yeah. So you can have that. For me, most of the times I send a notice of opportunity to withdraw, and that's it. They just go. They run for the hills. I don't hear anything from them. Um, and if they reply with another stupid answer, well, that's gonna be fun, because I'm gonna pick up that, and that is gonna be the start of my lien, and I will put as evidence the evidence of exactly that. Oh, I have my granddaughter here, and she wants,
Oh,
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah, she wants to take
I was going to
everything
say,
from
that
her.
doesn't sound like an 11-year-old.
No, this is my baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go paint
Hello.
them. Yeah.
Say hello.
Yeah, there she goes. She can't see me with a pen and a paper. She wants to take everything from me. She
Yeah.
loves to draw. Yeah, so as I was saying, so now you have not just the evidence to start a lien, but you have also in your exhibits that you send them a notice of opportunity to withdraw, and they didn't. So they are
Yeah.
continue to be committing fraud. Yeah, because they didn't. They had 7 days to bring you any evidence whatsoever, and they didn't, and they continue to insist on something. I mean, really? Come on, guys,
Yeah.
wait, wakey.
I mean, I've seen on the group, I mean, companies, for example, to give an example, like people like child maintenance that come between parents, and then they try and gain payments between the two parties.
Yeah,
So, I mean, ideally, you would just sort that out directly, right?
yeah. The thing is that the men and women that are in this roles, this acting, I think for me, I think that they think that they are doing the right thing. So it's very hard for you to go against someone that their beliefs are so strong into something. While I know Baron David Wood, but I'm not a fanatic. My approach is always, yeah, I have this. This is fact, but if you can bring any more facts to the equation that to disprove this one, I'm more than welcome to listen to you. You know, so this is always my approach. I don't take it like, yeah, this is the end. I know it all. No, I'm humble for you to please just, yeah, this is how I interpret this reality. If you have
Yeah.
another way of interpret it, please go ahead, show me. You know,
I mean, if you were to grant that authority to that intermediary body and explain the situation, It's giving away authority. That's the problem.
Yeah,
But it might actually result in a happier ending of sorts, but it requires you to give them authority. At what point do you just go, I'm not happy to give that authority, but I could grant you that authority and show you that I'm innocent. Do you see the point?
No,
I could grant that intermediary body authority and prove my innocence because I am innocent. I don't do harm.
No.
But you just wouldn't do that just out of principle. No.
And for me, it doesn't even make any sense, because I don't have.
You would save yourself a lot of hassle, though, wouldn't you? But that's the point. That's not what it's about for you.
No, because if I have to prove something, I'm already agreeing to some extent that I'm guilty. Because I am defending myself. Why would I be defending myself? You are the one bringing the claim, so make sure that your claim is solid. Because
the problem is, of course, though, but by not protecting yourself with the interloper, they're just going to continue thinking you're guilty. That's where it gets a bit more tricky. Which is really annoying, isn't it? As a moral person.
Not for me, to be honest. No. You exist in so many interpretations of. They only have a name. They are making assumptions of a name. I'm not my name. I can never be a name. A name is the things. What they are saying is that
I think this is indication, really, that I take it. I still take it quite personally where there's false claim, and I want to clear the false claim. You've kind of got through that, so you don't. Yeah.
It's against the name, and you are not the name.
I think it's. You know what, Clara? I think it's because these fraud systems, when you don't explain yourself, that the system is set up to assume that the person making the claim, that any claim is correct. So if you choose to go, you don't have any sovereignty over me. Nobody's given you the rights to be my mediator or my judge or jury. You have no power of me to do that. Their response is kind of, okay, I'm now enforcing the fact you're not protecting yourself. You're guilty. So therefore, they mount the accusations.
It's in their fantasy worlds.
Yeah.
I know I am a woman, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
So as me being a woman, I can never be two things at the same time. So in your La La Land world, you want to put this paper on top of this paper on top of this paper on that name. Go ahead, be my guest.
Yeah.
Since I was young, I've always said that I am not from this world, and I do not abide by the rules of this world. Because I've always saw the bigger picture. And more I see the bigger picture. So that's why I see things and I act accordingly to what I am gaining knowledge of. So my reality is my reality and is my own to create. And I am the only responsible.
I guess it's I guess nobody likes having people making false accusation about you, and the idea that there's this barrage at your gate of people trying to get in to implement and to enforce these false claims. But I must say, I'm not at your level or Anthony's level, so this strength will grow, no doubt.
It will.
And I've seen it grow. I've seen it massively grow. But I think my natural inclination has always been, I just don't like shit following me around. I don't want to volunteer for it.
If you start to implement the affidavit from within, the shit won't follow you.
Yeah.
You know, me and Scott, sometimes I'm saying, well, no one writes me and no one wants to write to me. I want to have, you know, give it a little bit of spice. I want to write a lean, and no one writes
Yeah.
you know, because it comes from within. And the more attachments you have, it harder will be. So let go of your attachments. Yeah, get rid of the luggage, because it won't do you any good. You know, you don't need that luggage. You don't need to be attached to a name. You don't need to be attached to the material that you have, because they are here just for you to use and enjoy. And yeah, you know. So and I think that the men and women acting on those capacities, they know that, because they, if you see, they always go after the weak ones. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
ones that have a lot of attachments, the ones that say, oh, it's my house, my car, my. Yeah, man, well, don't drown on it, be careful. I become heavy. I have nothing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Baron David Ward told me once, when I was asking him about the straw man, and he said, the question you should be asking is how to become a man of straw. And I didn't get it. I'm telling you, it took me a lot
Nice.
of time to get that one, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell is he talking about? What does he mean by become a man of straw? You know, I don't get it, you know. And then it clicked. Yeah. When
Mm.
I understood how you need to become a man of straw. And they let you go because they have
Well, that
nothing.
makes that immediately makes more sense to me than the idea of reclaiming your birth certificate, you know, and
It's not your creation.
all that common law stuff, which
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense to me.
He who creates controls. They
Mm.
created that document based on fraud. We have nothing to.
Yeah,
We have no
exactly.
say in that.
Where
You
was
know.
the meeting of minds to sign this thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, same thing
Yeah.
with the Constitution. When I brought the affidavit to Portugal, the first thing that they told me is that, oh, that is not going to work here, and yada yada. And I said, okay, can you please prove me why it's not going to work?
Were
And
you? I mean, now that I've heard that you're. I mean, it seems like the masters of this can actually improvise a lot more with the form of it, because once it's embodied, you can run with it. Whereas I'm learning it as a process at the moment, so I'm not at that stage. But what struck me today was a couple of things. I was surprised that the Baron David Ward, in the foundational case of that PCM with Warwickshire or whatever it was, local county, I was surprised he actually let it go to tribunal and accepted the tribunal. Aren't you?
no, no,
No?
no.
Okay.
How could he show you the how could he show us what was really going on in there?
Hmm.
If you read the exhibit B with attention, and when I say read, is read slowly, break it down. Yeah, you will
Oh,
notice.
I'm spending like 10 hours to read that thing and writing notes. Yeah, I am. I've done it 3 times and I am. It's
Yeah,
like, it is going back to,
yeah.
it is
He's
going back to
showing you. He's showing
school.
you that you cannot enter their place of business.
Yeah.
Never, ever.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
See,
because
the 12 presumptions of law confuse me, because when I was reading those, yes, foundationally, I could see that all the presumptions were incorrect. Therefore, it takes down law. And so, therefore, that's the purpose of why he's listing those, of course. I've even got a system whereby I can remember them. I spent about 20 minutes working out the letters so that I can work out the 12. So I know them, right? So I'm quite pleased about that. So I know them.
yeah,
But I must confess, part of me was thinking, I was jumping into fantasy land about actually being in court and how I would use them. Here's a question for you. Do you think that in the current fraud and the tyranny we're going through, they are going to try and maneuver law so that they can drag us and escalate so-called civil law into courts whereby we would be forced for things that we are using the Baron David Ward to contest with just claim and prove your claims. Do you think when enough of us are doing that, they will escalate that to a point where they make that somehow criminal law so they can try and get us into courts? And in which case, what the hell would we do then? Apart from say, I do not recognize you and present the affidavit, which is at some point, which takes away their presumption of executor and beneficiary, etc., etc., etc. Because when I read the 12 presumptions of law, part of me is living in those dramas on TV where I kind of want my day in court to be this, to take it apart, with what he's teaching us there, which is really great stuff, isn't it? I love it.
Yeah, well,
if I could have a parallel life, I would experiment with it, and I would go into court, and I would love to say to him, I don't recognize you, and I am the true executor and beneficiary. I'm not a what's it, executor de son mort, whatever that, of his own body, guardian.
Every time you are sending the document, that's exactly what you are doing, because you are the one rebutting the 12 presumptions of law.
Yeah. So it's inherent in that, yeah. So it's not there in case we have to go to court.
No. It's already taking their apparent foundation out of them. Yeah.
But have you come across situations where they've escalated civil matters into criminal matters and dragged people dealing with it in the way that we're trying to into criminal law courts? Have you come across that? Never.
The last intervention situation that someone asked me to help was in Portugal. It was a couple, and there were kids involved, and they took the kids out of the parents and put them in an institution. And the parents, again, we had a brief talk. I explained to them through the role plays for them to see that they were the ones who escalated the situation. It's never the other side. It's you. It's always on you. So you need to be able to be stable to not escalate with the criminals, because they are the ones who have guns and they are the ones who do the acts of terrorism. And after that, I sat with a group of barons and them, and we created a new piece, a paper through the affidavit, where they went there to that institution with another baron that was living next to them or a couple of hours from them, and they got the kids out. But again, you need to know and you need to stand in your power. And I had to, this was like a crash, almost a crash, me injecting you with my power and other barons' power, so you will feel the strength to do what's right, because most of the times people, they are so scared that they lose all clarity in the situations. And what I explained to them is that I normally don't do that, so I don't involve myself in that situation. But because there were kids, and I think it's traumatic as it is for kids being outside of their parents and having this type of people coming and doing whatever they want to do just because they like to lie and everything. But again, I did everything accordingly to my honor. Yeah, I needed to see where they were living, if the kids were if they had good conditions to live. Because when I read the documents from the court, there was a lot of third hand knowledge, and they lied. So I had to make sure that
Yeah.
I had, because one of the things that I say to barons, if you are going to stand in your power and be a baron, you have to be a baron from head to toe, outside
Mhm.
in, sides and everything. Okay, and when you put your word to another baron, you have to now acknowledge that you made a it's like it's not just two barons, it's one baron, and that force needs to be solid. So the other baron went there, and we saw, yes, they are like they are living outside of grid, yeah, out off grid, and they have solar panels, and they are still building the house, and they didn't register the youngster, yeah, because again, you know the facts, and you don't want to be committing stupidity like you used to. So that's why all of this lies and things were in those documents. So the judge decided to send the police to go and take the kids from them. The parents obviously shocked. They don't want it to escalate the situation, so they and the kids to them. But they were in a state. I mean, even me, I got really absorbed by that situation, and but we wrote a letter which was a notice of opportunity to resolve, but I created a twist with an opportunity to, so an opportunity to withdraw already with an opportunity to resolve. Yeah, and I
I
gave her
see.
24 hours, and she had to prove where was her authority coming from to even commit such atrocity. Because and in here, I can use a little bit of my knowledge, because again, I've read a few things, yeah. And here you can send a little bit of the equity, yeah, because the parents, they have the equity. If you have no interest whatsoever, you cannot just, oh, it is the law and I'm going to take them because someone else told me that they have no conditions for to raise the kids. You know, it's not how
Yeah.
it works, first and foremost. And hearsay, it's not acceptable as evidence. So I dismantled the judge, you know, and I told the parents to go immediately with the affidavit, my affidavit, and that letter that was sent after the 24 hours, and to remove the kids. And they were shaking, you know, because I mean, it's only fair. You know that they are your kids, but then you have these other phantoms on the other side telling you that, yeah, now I got them and they are mine. And I had to scream at them and say, fuck this, you know, they are nothing. They are not theirs, and they are the ones who committing the crime, because they are the ones who are stealing. So
Yeah.
unless they can prove me that they are not stealing, you just pick up your asses and you go and bring those kids home immediately, you know? And yeah, they got there and they were a little bit nervous. So that Baron, because he's been with us for a while, he stepped forward and he said, I am here as a witness, and I can assure that they have everything, and you guys are committing serious crime. So you better let go the kids. And here is the communication with the judge. The judge is out of the equation. If you want to speak now, it's you and her who needs to speak, but we are outside of your notice. And they brought the kids home.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
You got a real. So, am I right in saying that in criminal cases, like for example, during the COVID protests, a friend of mine, protecting his wife, may or may not have put his hands around the throat of a policeman, and they brought assault charges against him. Now, I knew about the Baron David Ward at that point, and I was saying, and he was like a big common law follower, and I was saying, no, don't go into their courts, you know, deal with it on paper. Does does it relate to a so-called, that would be a criminal charge? Does this, for example, like on the presumptions of law, we know that their summons and their custody are, they're an invite. It's an invite of summons. Would you have dealt with that the same in terms of like, that's a presumption of summons, and I present the, would you have asked for the material evidence of the jurisdiction to be able to summons me? Or because it's a criminal case with an assault with a hand round a neck, would that be null and void and you'd therefore have to go to court? Where would you be on that?
No. If you were the one that injured another man and woman, you have to remove.
There was no injury involved. It was just a kind of a false claim of you laid hands, so therefore we're going to try you for assault because you're a convid protester. That was all.
Well, that's why we never protest. Us barons, we have no master. Yeah. Only the ones.
But is there a difference though in terms of the Baron David Ward? Does it become not applicable in that case, or what would you do in that case?
If you are a baron, you know how to deal with your shit. Yeah. If you are not a baron, we are all barons, but they made us all these titles and things upon us. And that's where we forget that, and that's why we are protesting or petitioning or whatever, but if it was a situation, I cannot even grasp it because we don't do that, no masters, no slave.
Yes, I understand.
So there is no way for that to be in my reality because I won't create that in my reality. And if someone is in
to be fair, he was kind of protecting his wife from a situation who was getting manhandled, so he did put his hands on, and then they accused him of assault. But I wasn't able to advise because I didn't know, but I was very aware of the fact that, but I got very confused in terms of criminal is different to civil. But if you're a baron, it applies to all of it, really, because again, but then if there has been harm, as we've talked about before, if there has been harm, then we don't try and use the Baron David Ward affidavit to escape doing harm, do we? By claiming there's no law.
Exactly. This is all good and nice. And Baron David Ward said this many times. If they arrested him, he would come out with the militia from pedophiles, criminals, and all the things. Because
with the what? Sorry.
With the militia. Militia.
What's militia? Oh, militia.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, militia. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No, it's militia. Okay.
Yeah, you have to keep up with my accent.
No, it's good. It just sounded more exotic. The way you said it was exotic. Militia. It was like an alternative name for Christ or something. Militia. Okay, it's not that different. Yeah.
Because
you mean the army, do you? You mean the army, militia? Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly. Yeah, but we say it with a different accent, militia.
No, I prefer yours. It sounds poetic.
I drive Anthony mental with my.
It sounds a lot more benevolent, militia. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go back to your point then. Yeah. Okay. So
you used to say that because the affidavit works both ways. Because the foundation is all the same. We never consented to be governed. Yeah, and we never give our power of attorney. So the foundation of all this system, it goes away, basically. Because when we say that there is no law, it's because there is no law, because no one agreed to what law is. Yeah.
Okay, but just put yourself in that situation for a moment. I know you wouldn't manifest that because you don't manifest that stuff, but let's just say you had, and you know that you haven't created harm, but they think you've done criminal assault, a minor criminal assault. How are you dealing with that then, using the Baron David Ward affidavit? Are you dealing with it on paper in terms of?
Yeah.
Are you dealing with it in terms of the level of thank you for your invitation to summons, but can you prove your authority to be able to summons? What are you doing?
Yeah, well, I would send probably again an opportunity to withdraw, depending on how things would be. But if it was only in the beginning, I would send an opportunity to withdraw to Mr. Shitface janitor, entitling themselves a janitor, because that's the first one I'm gonna go after. Then I would go after the prosecutor, because I mean, let's talk about conflict of interest, shall we?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I love to speak about that subject.
Yeah, I love this as well. I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And then I would go after the shitface Mr. Policeman, and I would tell him, now remove your apparent authority that works only from 9 to 5, and let's talk man to man. Let's deal with if there is anything that I did during my nerve moment. I wanted to take care of you. So if you went to the hospital, please provide me with the things that you had, your expenses and all of this thing. Nice. I mean, once you understand how their shit show works, that they need a tort to be playing these games. Yeah.
So that's a form of remedy. Like you're claiming that I did harm. Prove the harm, and I will look at remedy. But we can do that without this false claim and this false construct of a fake court that, as you say, has conflict of interest from the state to its employees, and it's licensed and it's licensed embodiment, right? Exactly. That's what you're referring to.
Yeah. They need you to be in controversy. How do you say it? Controversy.
Controversy.
Yeah, controversy. They need you to be on that one, so they can gain their creations and all of that.
That's good.
I'm going to destroy all of that. If you want to make money, you will not make that faith and belief through me. You know,
that's good, Carla. I like that. Yeah. Thanks for that.
I am responsible for my own actions. This is what is missing in people, being responsible for their own actions. We all have bursts of irritation or whatever. But then when you're not in those bursts, just go and solve the shit that you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've done any, because most of the times with these people, they are liars. I mean, they just want to make a couple of bucks on you.
Okay, I want to play devil's advocate for a second. You ready?
Yeah. Go on.
You can just be rude here, because I have heard you being very firm. Because you came on the Zoom the other night and I was there and you were very firm, but it made total sense. I get it. So you can do that with my permission, of course, and you don't need my permission. So anyway, here's devil's advocate.
Yeah, go on.
The Warrington Council there were lots of, look, number one, all the claims about not being governed, consent of the governed, there is no law, blah, 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 acts and statutes, completely, I love all this stuff, it sings to my soul of like being truth, right? So I'm not putting that down at all or denying that. But what I want to ask is this. Because the Baron David Ward fought a PCN, and because they basically saw some truth in wasn't that case over the moment they couldn't be bothered, or just went, I can't be bothered to rebut or to provide material evidence. At that point, the case was won. Does it really prove that they accept? I mean, I accept that they need. I mean, as a way of example, I was watching a thing about American presidents going back into the 1800s, and you'd love this because President Harrison, I mean, he was murdered 2 weeks later, but it cropped up President Harrison was reminding that me as government needs the consent of the governed. And I was like, great, this goes back into time as a basic truth. And even President Harrison from 18 something, before he was murdered, was saying this. But he was literally killed 2 weeks later. So yeah, I love all that. But does it really prove that just because they got annoyed and couldn't be bothered fighting a very, very bright, clever man called Baron David Ward, does it really hold that all on the record? I mean, at the end of the day, if you accuse me of something and you hadn't executed your documents incorrectly, I could just say, you haven't executed your documents correctly, full stop. Just because I then won the case, I could then claim because you didn't win the case, that proves you believe in the same God as me. It believes that you know. Do you see my point? Maybe not. It wasn't put very well.
Yeah.
In other words, isn't the Baron David Ward making a lot of, because they dropped the case? It could be because they dropped the case because just one point, just one of those points was enough. But all the other points he's made that they didn't bother rebutting. Why does it prove all of those? Isn't that a stretch? As much as I know that they're true, as much as I know that they need consent of the governed.
Okay, let's go by parts, yeah? So that affidavit, or more specific, that exhibit is just one part of the evidence that he had at the time, because the first affidavit that he built, it was going to be huge, and we wouldn't probably read it. Okay, so the amount of evidence that Baron David Ward had, if he had to compile it in the affidavit, it will be probably 300 and something pages, right? So what he did is he compressed it to a 65-page document. So people that are lazy...
Mine's 64. I'm missing a page.
Yeah, 64, 65. It depends on mine has 65 in Portuguese. Yeah, because I have an extension to my affidavit. Yeah? Because of the Constitution.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, of course, because of the Portuguese situation.
Yeah. So, mine has 65.
As long as it's not a private oath between certain baronesses and we've got the public version. That's not the case. No.
Yeah. So the thing is that that Exhibit B, he added that to the affidavit just for us to grasp how the system works. Yeah, because what he was challenging, it wasn't the PCN at all.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
It was the foundation, of what gives you the right to come and do all of this.
See, let's
go for the foundation first. Yeah. And then we can deal with the rest. But we need to start from the beginning. We cannot start in the middle and then go straight to the end and then come back to the beginning. That's not how it works. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when you have the affidavit and it's cleverly separated, so you have the foundation of everything. That's the Exhibit A. That's where everything starts, right? Yeah. Then through that Exhibit A is showing you, that with that insignificant case, which is a PCN, which is nothing, he could prove that they just run for the hills, because that's what they did. They just run for the hills. But they gifted him a signature. So that's what is all about, that Exhibit B. It's that someone pick up a pen and put a fucking signature there. And you don't find that anywhere in the world. Yeah?
So in a way, by going to that tribunal, he was fishing for something that would illustrate to us that
he didn't win there. This was all done on
it was
paper.
all on paper. Yeah, sorry, yeah. He allowed them to take it to tribunal. They offered him the chance of going to tribunal, and he, from his words, reading it today, he accepted their kind invite kind of vibe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that mildly surprised me, because I was thinking, why would I let frauds be tribunal? But there is an addendum to that, isn't there? In that he says, even though they're pretending that is final, if you read at the end, there's an important bit which he's saying, but that isn't final. They're just saying that it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why he put that.
So he's using that to illustrate, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you have there, it's him showing us that it's a shit show, guys.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
Either you want to go and play in their court, or either you want to play outside. It's the same thing. That's why we say there is no amount of paper that is going to save you. You know, because this is a shit show. Yeah,
I like where you're floating. You're like floating on this level up here, and you know, I love the way you guys float. I mean, I really do. I'm a bit down here, a bit more earthy, and a bit more scared at this point. So but here's another scared. Here's another scared perspective. What I don't understand is this: you've established this lean over 6 weeks. I mean, I'm feeling great about it because I know that I never fucking do harm. So I've proved it. I've got the indisputable, unrebutted, no proof of claim, now bound up in acquiescence, right, of silence, hopefully. I mean, at the moment, I'm scared that they come back to me and argue, but I'll get over that down the line, right? At the moment, I just hope that they leave me alone. They're silent, they ignore me, and I can just do the acquiescence thing. Okay, so I've got this lean. And I understand criminals will be criminals. They're still going to come around my house. They'll hand it over to... At what point, this is my question.
Yeah.
At what point, apart from a moral kind of victory, I know I'm on a lower level to you, but give me your higher level, right? On my lower level, I'm looking at that lean and I'm going, I did 6 weeks on that. I can't even use it. And they're coming round to me and I'm now leaning the CEO of the interloper bulking debt collection agency that isn't signed, and now I'm having to do it with them. I'm just wondering, Clara, what was the point of that lien apart from a moral, strong process of me affirming and proving their fraud? I mean, I feel good because I proved their fraud. It was unrebutted. How am I seeing this wrong? Because there's a part of me views it as... let me just ask this question. How is that lien used?
Now remove the moral from the equation.
Okay.
Yeah, remove that one.
Yeah.
That's a fucker. Yeah, we don't need that one. It's another illusion. Yeah.
So I don't need to feel morally superior?
No. No. What you have in your hands is a security instrument, first and foremost. Yeah? You have a securitized instrument in your hands. That in itself is powerful. And it's never been done before, the way Baron David Wood did it. Because you have many things. You have pledges, you have bonds, you have commercial instruments, but you don't have fraud securitized in a fucking instrument. Now, we probably may not grasp the full power of that instrument, but there is a lot of people, especially here in the UK, that they've been already playing with liens. Yeah. There was, in fact, I got a message one day, a guy, I'm not going to say it, but he wanted to buy my liens for tokens in exchange of tokens.
I heard you talking to Anthony about this. I listened to one of your podcasts. I heard this. Interesting. Yeah.
So the thing is,
He knew the value of them. Yeah. Yeah.
they
He
know
knew the
the
value of them.
value. Yeah, they know the
Yeah.
value because again, you are the creator. You have an agreement with full disclosure. And
So it's a little bit like it's a little bit. Is it a little bit similar to you creating the financial instrument when you sign your
signature?
yeah, with the bank fraud, with the mortgage, when you create that, and then they use that to secure. Then what do they do with that? They then go and do a deal to make profit on that. Yeah.
Yeah, securities exchange. Yeah.
So it's similar-ish, right? The power is in that signature.
Yeah. Well, this is more powerful because you are the creator of it.
Yeah. Okay.
You created the securitized instrument. Now, we may not grasp the future of these documents, but it's the first time that we created them. So this, it might be where Baron David Ward was seeing things that most of people don't see it. I really saw it like him because I think like him, we see things out. They are not even built and we can already create them and envision them way ahead. Yeah. And when he first started to explain that to me, I was like, no, I don't see it. No, I don't think so. No, I'm not even going to do those things. No. But then I decided, but it stayed here, it stayed in the back of my head. And then I started to go and learn what is, I don't know. Well, I have to go and see what the hell is he so fuss about. Yeah. So I went to see what is the commercial instrument, what is a security instrument, what is a bond, what is a pledge, and when you start when you start getting yourself with knowledge, one thing is you getting the knowledge from me, but you won't get the full spectrum of it. You need to go and research it for yourself because you will read things that I didn't read and you will get another thing out of it. Yeah.
Have you ever... So I'm viewing it wrong in that I want to brandish this lien and I want to use it.
Yeah, no.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not interested in using it for 195 million pounds. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about, okay, I'll ask a simpler question. Have you ever used a lien that's been established further to say, look, there's a lien here, it has value, and to bring people, do you bring people back to that lien and point to it?
Not in that sense. Not in that sense, because again, when you write your liens, you make sure to write there that there is no money. So this 195 million is faith and belief.
Yeah,
because that's the only thing that really exists that we exchange apart from.
I haven't got to that phase yet. So in that final part of the lien, he alludes to there is no money. It's in there, is it?
Exactly.
Well, it's in the affidavit, of course. So yes.
It's in the lien as well, because you are bringing a lien, but you are causing no harm, loss, or injury. So you have to state that, but you are creating a securitized instrument, which is completely different. Yeah.
Maybe I don't securitized instrument. Talk to me about that. So what does that mean? Securitized instrument. What does it mean?
Do you know how the banking system works?
A little bit, but it bores me and I switch off. But I'm trying to focus on it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you.
I certainly understand quantitative easing, fractional lending. I understand fiat and gold-backed and all that fraud, right? What I don't understand is bonds. I've heard you talking about bonds. I don't really understand those. And I don't understand how, for example, on a mortgage, they take your signature, turn it into a security, and then put it into a trust. And then they put it into a trust.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, no.
Yeah. Well, then I have a couple of videos.
I have friends who put all their house and cars and possessions into trusts, and I also don't understand that, and I don't do it.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that could be a way, but again, if there is always a way for them to go and enter inside your trust if your trust is not done properly. Yeah.
Right.
But they can enter into that, but unless you do it outside, because but that we would be getting to another. Those are just minor things that I got along the way of me researching other stuff that I was able to through the knowledge of the affidavit and see that the other things that people are doing are the defects.
I think it's the UCT or something, isn't it? Something called the UCT, which is about some kind of trust.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Yeah, no, it's jibber jabber.
Okay. Yeah.
All of that is jibber jabber, and even people that say that they have results, I'm still yet waiting to see those results, to be honest.
I mean, I just love the fact that it's common fucking sense to me. It's like I haven't given my consent to be governed, least of all from anybody. I mean, if I was to identify with anything, it would be the true meaning of anarchism, which is nobody has the rights to stand over me in authority. It's not the chaos that it's become affiliated with in terms of punk anarchism. In a way, that was like doing disservice to the true meaning of anarchism, which is I don't stand under anybody. Nobody has the right to stand over anybody else. So that makes my soul sing when I see, I've not given my consent to be governed. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, there are no rights.
But I mean, they're not ever going to admit to that, are they? They're never ever going to admit to the fact that now 68.9 million people have not contracted to be, to be governed.
Of course not, because I mean, look, it's just me and you here, and a couple of 100 more. I mean, what it doesn't really matter, because there are still 60,000 fear people living in fear, and they are going to accept anything that we will tell them. Yeah. But that will fall into again, I have expanded my knowledge beyond the affidavit, so I know that there is a lot more going on. Again, I use the affidavit as my foundation for everything, but then after the affidavit, you start realizing that this is the beginning and also the end, but it will come back to the beginning as well. Yeah, so I mean,
do you sometimes? I mean, with your bird flying above you, I don't think you're going to vibe with this. But come down to my level for a minute. There's a part of me. There's a part of me that feels like, because of the way that I see that it interrelates to the bigger picture, I feel like a sacrificial lamb in a way. That on principles, I'm kind of offering myself up to be a sacrifice for this system. But I don't feel like everybody else is on that sort of same level where they realize that the financial system is an illusion. Everybody, look, at the end of the day, I've been amongst truthers, and I'm sure if I was to be harsh, I would come amongst the barons and baronesses and find that everybody is still going and doing their jobs. I mean, just to be devil's advocate for a minute, where do you draw the line on believing in money and kind of going, they are bringing us into this tyranny through your acquiescence to money, accepting that authority to run your life? At what point do you say no to money and not trading in it at all? I mean, I've stopped. So I feel like a sacrificial lamb, for people that won't do it. Because let me finish that by saying that people will have to do it when their jobs go, when their jobs are pulled down into nothing, which is going to happen. Artificial intelligence and digital currency, unless you want to get controlled via digital programmable money, everybody is literally going to have to make decisions based around, are you going to suck on the teat of money or are you going to drop money? So I'm like ahead, but I feel like a sacrificial lamb. I feel like one of those people in the war that is going out of the trenches and getting shot at while everybody else is in the trench. You know, it doesn't feel so good, to be honest. I mean, I've tried to work with people in terms of.
I would probably go with you.
Yeah, I know. I think you probably would. Yeah, yeah.
But I would probably go with a different attitude. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
I see this.
Give me. Let me feed.
Yeah, I see this as a construct. We live inside of a simulation. Yeah. So all of this is just. I mean, this is my avatar, and I am so fed up of everything that is in here in this simulacrum that I don't want to be here anymore. So. From what you were saying, if we are being hypocrites by still using the money, well, not in that sense, because when we say that there is no money, we are saying that there is no money because there isn't any money. What you are exchanging is fiat currency. That isn't money.
Yeah,
so we are being honest with ourselves.
Yeah, but Clara, that's going to get worse, because what they've done over 100 years is move it gradually into being tokens in a digital game, as you call it, a simulacrum, right? But let's just say it's a digital game where everything is tracked, where that money is what our kids have been seeded and engineered into this so that they love their computer tokens they're given, you know. So it's going to be the furthest removed from gold or anything real that it could ever be. It's going to be digital tokens that we still go to the shops and believe is real, because we get houses and food back in relation to that. But
that's the way you are still attached to the game. You know?
Well, I'm not, because I've given up my job. I loved my job. I loved my career. I loved my music. Yeah, you know, my career was going well. I've stopped it. I've stopped it for you. No, I've stopped it for everybody. But, you know, I'm beginning to doubt it. I should go back to my job. Nobody else is doing the same. Yeah. Me and my partner, we both do not earn. We've stopped. Both musicians, both producers, we've stopped because I don't want to pretend that everything is normal right now by putting on red dancing shoes and pretending that music is just the same as it always was. I can't. That's unconscionable for me. I can't do that.
Yeah, but there is new ways. Again, we go back to the new ways. Yeah, there is new ways. Like I stopped working as well. Yeah, but I still do work in exchange for the faith and belief.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there is a difference between me knowing that I am giving something, you know, that is of value, and that person is giving me just a piece of paper. And I'm going to go to the shop and I'm going to give that piece of paper to the next moron. Yeah, go ahead, take it. Give me the goods. You know, it's the shift is internal, you know. And because like, for instance, before I used to give.
I guess it depends if you know. I guess it depends on whether you know that's going to come down to the next collapse of that model. Yes, it means nothing. Yes, when Baron David Ward wrote that, it means nothing. It's a case of belief. But that's now going to be digital tokens on the blockchain.
It always been digital.
Yeah, Anthony says this to me as well. There's one big difference, Clara. Digital that doesn't exist, that is exchanged between the banks every day at the end of the day, is very different to digital money that can be tracked on the blockchain, where all the information about the transaction, the journey, your social credit, your green, how many green points are involved in that transaction. They've already done this, by the way. They've already got something called the Alland Index, which turns everything that we love in life, everything we do, whether it's a journey or eating food or something that is innocent and beautiful, organic, human, they've turned it into that is 3 carbon tokens. that's 5 carbon tokens, that's 10. And because the digital money now can be tracked real time, not at the end of the day, fake money, as you're doing it, and blocked because you've gone over your carbon, because they're controlling it on the blockchain. I agree with you, but more information, which, look, I've done the research on that part. I'm now coming round to the Baron David Ward, but on that part, I know exactly what they're trying to do and the deception of the digital money, and they are fully committed to this. This isn't a fear campaign. This isn't as bad as it always was. This is the next degree of it, right?
Yeah, I know.
So it's going to get worse. So what I'm saying to you is that belief in even promissory notes is going to go to the next level, where you're going to be incentivized on every purchase, on every journey, or stopped doing what you want to do based on that fake money. So that belief in that fake money is going to come to an end. That's what I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. I'm not jumping because I'm an idiot. I'm jumping because I know I will not be making those choices that they want me to make. We've seen the choices they are trying to coerce.
Have you ever considered that everything that is happening right now at the precise time of what's next?
What does that even mean?
If there is a pattern that's been going on ever since, since the same people are in power and doing whatever they think they are doing, if there is a pattern there, and if that next stage is all digital, have you ever stopped to think that they are rushing this so fast? Why would they be rushing this so fast? So my questions when I see this, it's always, I want to know the logistics of everything and the foundation of why are you doing such, taking so much drastic measures? What is wrong? What is happening?
Right. I mean, once you realize, which you have, you've given me you've inferred to me, there's patterns going back hundreds of years. You'll realize that yes, they're rushing phases of it, but in fact, we've always been in various stages of the prism, right? So in fact, you could say there is a rush element, sort of, but actually it's been very incremental, intergenerational, over centuries. So I could also kind of say it's not really being rushed. There's various stages of like things so dramatically in your face that you're forced to take part in them, and there's other things that are so incremental that they're kind of, look, they've stated very openly that by 2025 that 65% of carbon will be balanced, and by 2050 it's going to be 100%. So the fact that organic humans are carbon, they're admitting totally in full plain sight that they are going to have to track and trace, and you're going to have to pay for everything.
Or they are telling you and you are not getting the message. Or they are telling you something, and you are not getting the message because you are focusing on what they are bringing forward, because that's the reality they want you to create for them. And you are not going and dig, why would they give me specific dates? So there is a pattern of 138 years that this pattern, it doesn't change. It's always the same fucking pattern. It doesn't matter what calendar, Annus Domini, ACDE, that you use, the pattern is still there, which makes me really believe that we live in a construct, that this is a simulation, and they know.
That's very interesting straight away, because I have traced it between 100 and 150 years. So it's interesting you've got a specific number. So
it's from my, and it's called the Phoenix event. And
Okay. Yeah.
it's been there's a guy that I follow, Jason Brashears, on YouTube, and
Oh yeah. Okay.
he was the one who got my attention to start going through this, because again I think that that's the next piece of the affidavit. So okay, now you have the foundation. Now you need to understand what is really going on. Yeah, because you already took the curtains out of your eyes. So now this is what's really going on, and what are you going to do about it? So for me, I see that what they are doing, it's that they are creating the separation of society, because they need that, you
Yeah.
know because one part
Definitely.
of society goes to the AI, and us, the creators, we are going to go our separate ways, as we've been doing for eons of time.
Mm.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
you can take the NPCs. If you look into Saudi Arabia, now they want to build that wall. They've been already building that wall. It's all AI,
Yeah.
it's all a thing constructed in there. And I start seeing this. This is what I call my points of reference. Yeah, I see this, the CBDBD, whatever, the climate change, and I pick all these puzzles and I start to look for what is hidden behind all this. Why would you be talking about climate change when I go back in history and there is no signs of climate change? Why would you bring that topic even? Okay, so let's dig that one out. Let's see why
Well,
the
there's
hell.
always climate change, but it's just called weather. That's the point.
I
There's
mean,
always climate
if
change.
you
Climate
always
change is
like,
climate change.
yeah, I
It's
mean, if
what is
you
the? I mean, there's Holocene periods, and there's 4 degrees higher, and there's little ice ages. If you go
yeah,
back thousands of years, there's always climate change. Yeah,
okay, but
climate change is real.
if
It's
you
what the
have the
cause.
climate,
It's
yeah, if
what
you
the
have the
cause of the
climate
climate change
change,
is.
why are you selling solar panels then? Where did
Yeah. There's an easy answer for
yeah,
that. That's because
why is Tesla? Can you see how my brain analyzes this? Why is
yeah.
Tesla bringing all of this shit show when you are talking about climate? I mean, a simple Google search. Go to these people that preach climate change. Go and check if their houses all have solar panels. Go and see if they do what they preach. I mean, if at this point you are not clueless yet, yeah, if you can't see behind all the things that they are sending, I mean, the only thing I can tell you is you are an NPC. Go ahead, play the game, have fun. The next level will all be AI. It all be track and trace and all of that shit show. Bye bye.
Yeah.
I'm going that way.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that's why I was telling you that they are rushing. They are only rushing because we are more aware than we were before. There are many of us.
That's one interpretation. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
might be at different stages or different levels,
Yeah.
but we are seeing things different. And it's us that are going to go and build new.
Hmm.
It's not. I mean, you always if you experience this reality and you see that this is a duality. If we are talking about duality, there is always this: a part of this goes
Hmm.
that way and the other part goes that way. Here you have two worlds experiencing different realities. Which one are you going to be on? That's the real question.
Totally.
Yeah.
Organic team human. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
we don't use
Yeah.
the word human probably, but yeah,
No.
organic living
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, and we are
Resolutely.
on the 3 mark time. Wow.
Mm.
Gas. This was
Uh,
amazing.
I mean, from my point of view, what I've noticed over the last sort of 20 years is, I mean, for me, in terms of, for me, everything comes down to truth is truth of what is happening, whether it's good or bad. It doesn't have there's no negative or positive connotation for me, right? So knowing the truth of what they plan, that's not negative for me. That for me is just for me, that's an aptitude for truth. I've got an aptitude to find out what the truth of my reality is. I know the truth of my reality as a spiritual organic man. Yeah, I've explored that for many years. I've done it. I've always lived free in my music. I've done exactly the music I've wanted to do. You know, I've lived by that as a very free man. I've never worked for anybody else. You know, I learned how to heal my body. I've done all that stuff. For me, there's nothing negative about being attuned to the truth, so I can see the little games that they play, right? So this for me, I find it interesting that with the Baron David Ward, it's like, no, you don't run away from them. You face them, right? Yeah. But yet when we're coming around to this, it's like, there they are with their little plans. But, you know, like, for example, if I'm healing with my body, I can meditate myself into really good states, which is frequency, which is going to heal. So I will work with the body on that level, but I will also look at things that most people won't want to look at. I'll look at fungus in the gut, and if I've picked up heavy metal poisoning, and I'll look at parasites in the gut, and I'll look at getting rid of chelating poisons from the body in order to heal. And, you know, some people at that point would go, oh man, that's really negative, just like meditate. And I would say, no, they both coexist, right? So for me, there is nothing. For me, it makes total sense. I'm fucking Clouseau. I'm a good detective, right? I'm hyper vigilant. So if somebody's frauding me and something doesn't smell right, I'm going to work out what it is, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it so that I can work out if my planned organic utopia with my friends and the good people is going to be possible. Otherwise, I'm just going to come up with fake solutions.
Yeah.
Because if at the end, you know, there's no point in us forming a commune if their sustainability goals and drones are closing down the roads, whereby we get supplies of seeds which are GMO seeds, which are barcoded from Gates. I mean, it's not a bad thing to know what the frauds. For me, what I've noticed over the last 3 years is very few people seem to actually get to the bottom of the fraud. It's not that I put all my energy into that. I don't view that as manifesting. I don't view that as manifesting a bad future. That to me is just common sense. It's like I have these people definitely now on the, as you said it, accelerated militia, accelerated like advance, right? In terms of like this synthetic choice for mankind to imprison into this choice, you know, and they're duping people using programming that goes back hundreds of years, including, I have to say, a load of spiritual programming. They've made sure that loads of spiritual programming has now been put in place whereby we ignore what they're doing and we just imagine that we are manifesting without doing anything or knowing what they're talking about. We don't put focus there. We put focus on unicorns and unicorn farts, as I call it, right? And it won't happen because we're manifesting unicorn farts. Don't you think they've been involved in that seeding of like the mass consciousness? Because they have, of course. They've controlled the New Age. They've controlled the organized religion. And there is a true spirituality which precedes all of those, going back tens of thousands of years, that is the root core of like organic human. But everything in the last 200 years, they've tried to control so that we go willingly in their mind programs, in their narratives, so that we go willingly thinking, I'll give you an example, you know, the Great Reset, the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening is full of shills to lead you into the same place. It is. Yeah, it's full of them.
You have to go and do a research in 1902. There is nothing.
Why? What happened there for you? I mean, I've got many years around there. Yeah, I mean, what happened in 1902?
Yeah, in 1902, that's where that marvelous reset word came about. And
Right.
again, it's 138 years. So it's
Yeah.
funny enough that that great reset is happening now at the end of the cycle, which is going to be 2040. And they presented you with 2030, you know. So all of this, when you start looking at the chronology of it all, you see that, man, we live in a construct, you know. There
Yeah.
is,
I mean,
is
let me just flesh that out a bit, Clara,
running.
because that's a really important point. It's a really
Yeah.
important point. The
If you
first
go,
industrial the first industrial revolution was a reset. It's an available amount of technology that gives them an opportunity to reset and control the resources. So at that point, it was oil, it
listen,
was oil, it was
gas.
the Federal Reserve, it was
That's
mass production and factories, and it was vaccinations, mass vaccinations again,
look what they are doing.
and
No.
and the creation of the allopathic system. Now it's the same stuff resetting. You're exactly right. But
Yeah.
and their own language is that this is the fourth industrial revolution, and they've already got the fifth industrial revolution lined up.
Exactly.
You know,
Now, when you start
they are
going,
nothing but repetition. I completely agree
yeah,
with you. Yes.
when you start, well, it's more than repetition. It's a code. It's an
Yeah.
AIX code.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the code that is inside of the simulacrum. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you start looking at that and you start seeing that, okay, this guy's, there is the same code appearing over and over and over and over again. So, and they are doing the same thing. And in 1902, apparently, was when the Phoenix was to return. Yeah. So the Phoenix is about to return between 2040, from 1902 to 2040. Yeah, you will see a return of the Phoenix. It could be 20, a couple of years before, we don't know. Yeah, but because the last
But
one,
what does this? I mean, I'm going to use the word woo woo. What does this woo woo Phoenix represent? I'm sorry. What does it represent?
well,
Because I mean, I know in you asked for material evidence.
yeah.
The material evidence is that Rockefeller, Rothschild, the central banking cartel, the United Nations, the Bank of International Settlements, they've got the whole system ready to go into sustainability goals. That you don't need to call that a Phoenix. They've got that set up. It's just the same old players.
No, nothing to do
So
with
what
that.
is this Phoenix?
No. Yeah,
What is
no.
the Phoenix?
Okay. If you go after the 1902, the journals and everything, you will see that the Rothschild and the Rockefeller, they disappear from 1902 to 1903. Then from 1901 to 1903 they disappear. Then they come back again in 1903. So that's when everything from them came into being. Okay, so they brought the things that they hide the last time, the educational system and all of those things. So they brought it back. So what they are doing now, it's exactly what they've been doing in the past. So there is nothing new under the sun. So imagine this, and this is just a theory, my theory. Yeah, my theory is that if they are aware of the 138 cycles that the planet goes through, and this is a program, and every 138 years the planet gets shifted, or the scenario changes. What would I be doing if I was one of them? What would I be doing? I would be preparing the next civilization that is going to survive to be in the spectrum that I need them to be, because I'm gonna keep everything again hidden, and then I will come back as the savior of them all. If you see what they are digging, the domes that they are digging in Turkey, that they are going underground, in the Americas. So this shift is going to be 33 degrees, with a shift. So most of China is going to say bye-bye. America, bye-bye. Parts of here, this island here, if you go back in ancient maps, you don't see it. So this island, you can say it bye-bye as well.
You mean as a landmass they're going to go bye-bye, or do you mean that they're going to pull away and not be part of the of the
No,
cult.
as a shift on the planetary on the planet. Yeah, there is a
Yeah.
shift. So the water that is the land that is down is going to come up, and this one is going to go down. Not all of it, yeah, but
So
there are.
you're talking about a pole shift.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, and they know it. That's why I was telling you that there is this rush going on, yeah, because
Okay.
they want to rush things, because they need
Yeah.
to rush things to put things in place, because there is going to be a lot of that and people disappearing. That's why they are saying all of this. Because that's why I like to go to the past to understand what the fuck happened before, that they are
Yeah.
still trying to beat the same drum, and it's going to happen again. That's why they all come with this flower power. I mean, if you go listen to this guy, Jason Brashears, he has all the
Yeah,
evidence,
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
all the evidence that you need, and no one came yet to disprove him. Yeah. So everything that he brings forward, he tells you where he get it from, where is it for you, go and do your own research about it. Yeah. And I mean, when I see things like this, it's like the Baron David Ward affidavit. I mean, I can't disprove it. If I can't disprove it, and I've been reading and I've been researching, and I see more and more and more evidence of what the hell this guy is presenting to me, well, I have to consider that is the truth, isn't it?
Well, it's a modality of thought. I mean, I haven't looked into it, but I mean, from where I've arrived, it's as basically simple as an intergenerational cult that wishes to reset, as they do every 100 to 150 years, using the words industrial revolution into a bunch of new tech. And under this new tech, we can be controlled into these transhuman kind of hybrid synthetic rather than our organic mastery. We can be a new synthetic serving class, a new feudal system, basically.
Yeah, or not, or you go and create another reality.
I'm not sure if they're going to let us, but yeah, I'll certainly do my best. I'll do my best.
Yeah. Well, they have no saying in that. Once you start to understand what is AIX and the role that it plays, and you start to understand that you are more than you thought yourself to be, and that's where the highest authority comes into play. I mean, everything changes in the way you look into things.
Yeah, I mean, on this aspect, look, I did 10 years of fasting, meditating, yoga, and where I've come to is embodied spirituality. I'm as good as I need to be right now. I don't need to realize some greater godhood than who I am. I'm balanced between this physical reality, this, in its failings, in its glorious fucking human imperfection, and being quite balanced in my brain between also the interconnectedness of the fact we are all interconnected, and I am interconnected with nature, and I am organic. So I don't really need to realize anything greater than that, really. So I also am a little bit suspicious now of all of these callings to kind of like, oh, you just need to be in 5D, because then you can kind of like realize that. Because for all of these things, they're allowing us to just allow these psychopaths to just reenact another control grid reset. That's all I'm seeing. I'm seeing a load of spiritual ideas becoming more important, narratives and stories becoming more important than embodied reality. I cannot help but be spiritual. We're born spiritual. I'm not going to go and meditate now to be greater than I am. I'm not going to do it. Not right now, because the situation we're in, it's perilous. It might not. There's no saying at all. It is what it is. There is no confirmation. If there's a God, or if there is another greater force in this universe called God, right? then we will have to learn by mistakes. You know, we have free will. So if we choose to overlook the fact there is a bunch of old blokes who like to control everything, you know, if we want to overlook that.
Are they even old blokes?
Mostly.
I got my suspicions.
Well, mostly, and a load of people that have, you know, they've revealed their power to, that just go along with it and play their lower roles. But certainly the older boys that hand it down intergenerationally, you know, the George Soroses and the Rockefellers and the, you know, all these people. Yeah, I mean, they're bit, if you can see them, they're bit parts, they're bit players. There's definitely lower minions that are young. Yeah, we know, but it's intergenerational. And if we choose to let them, if we choose to not actually talk about what they're doing and just assume that we should be more spiritual, I think we're missing something here, because they're just going to get away with it. And it's not confirmed that this is going to turn out well. You know, we can choose to let them get away with it, and it could work out bad, so that we learn about it for the next 2,000 years. If that's the reality you want as a spiritual being, then, you know, meditate and be 5D and form a narrative of that's not what's happening, and there's going to be some, you know, some 5D shift, and that I don't think we've created this. I did not create a bunch of psychopaths abusing me, putting mercury and aluminium in my body at birth to sever me from my natural connection. But that's what they did, and it was partially successful. It wasn't successful because I'm here, and I had to work quite hard to go, oh my God, there's loads of mercury, loads of aluminium in my body. Why is that? Can I get rid of it? Oh no, it takes 128 years. But actually, if you eat loads of pectin in apples or chelate, you can get that shit out. And as you do that, your illnesses go down and you can heal yourself. But I will always be poisoned. We'll always, all of us, be poisoned. That's the slow kill they've been doing. So I don't quite, although I know my power as a spiritual being, I don't buy this idea that now is the time for me to think I need to be more spiritually powerful, which just gives them more time to basically commit fraud. I think now is the time to say we are spiritual organic human beings, and part of that responsibility, as I said to you earlier, is I will use my brain to do the Baron David Ward affidavit, because, you know, I've told you already, it bores me shitless, law. But actually, now that I'm forcing myself, and it's not difficult for me, because it's my instinct told me it's truth. So therefore it's worthy of my brain. It's worthy of my brain time. This is worthy of our brain time as well, talking about the fraud that they're trying and knowing what they're trying to bring in. Unless we reveal it, then they're just going to get away with it. So as a spiritual being, I'm here as a balanced spiritual being. I'm here to saying I didn't create their fraud. I have not manifested it. There's nothing. I'm not going to allow the diagnostic of us collectively, the good people, to kind of say that we collectively created this. Evil does exist in this universe. And if we are so fucking weak, right, to enable their mind programming, to make them program us to think that it's our fault, that's abuse. That's abuser dynamics. Abusers always make you think it's your fault. They will use fake spirituality, fake science, fake ADHD, fake autism, false diagnosis. Psychopaths always get you to believe in their fake diagnostic of self. And that is what they're doing right now. And if we let them get away with it, they will get away with it. So as a spiritual being, I'm saying no more. We can't allow these psychopaths. We need to reveal it. We do. We need to reveal it. Unfortunately, I wish I could just live on a commune. If you'd have spoken to me 20 years ago, I believed I could build any world. I believed that one enlightened being, me, I was going to be enlightened. One enlightened being could change the world more just by me being enlightened, or Buddha being enlightened, or Zen, or Tantra, or Taoism, whichever spiritual persuasion you want to go. Yeah, I was fully on board that. I ignored all the news, didn't get involved with any of that, but I'm back here now to say, we do need to pay attention, and we do need to know what they're doing, and that is a spiritual obligation. Spiritual obligation is not to bypass and to think that only the positive, like the nice things are going to produce the future world. No, they're not. We have to call out the psychopaths. We do, and we have to reveal what they're doing. It's also a spiritual obligation. I know you're not saying to bypass, but I just think it's very important as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like I was saying to you, each one of us, it's where it needs to be at the right time, and it will make the difference that needs to be. Yeah. And that's why we are not all equal. That's why each one of us, it's unique in his own approach of seeing things, And I think that's why I was saying
I love the way that you're comfortable with your own realizing that you are at your own pace. When you said earlier that you like to go fast and accelerate, and that's very much something you need to do alone. Yeah, that's very much me too. But I kind of believe that we need the collective to fight the collective, just for a period, only because I've never tried that way. So I needed to learn that isn't going to work, because it's never worked for me. That's never worked for me ever.
Yeah,
I don't really work in, but that seemed to me to be very dangerous for me, because alone we do seem to be, unless there's a critical ebb of people kind of waking up and prepared to kind of come together in some way, I can't see a happy ending for what's going on. That's not negative. That's just what I see.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. I mean, it's perspectives, isn't it? I have like, again, I understood what Baron David Wood said about becoming a woman of straw, and I am pretty much in that stage. Yeah. So I have no attachments. I mean, if I go, I go. Yeah, it's fine by me. I will offer no resistance. I mean, one of the things that I learn is the best.
But then you've got children which pull against that as a mother, right? No.
Well, no, it doesn't.
No.
How
do you feel about them? How do you feel about them living in a? I mean, sorry, it's a bit of a leading question.
They know me. They know me better than anyone, and I had that conversation with them, so they are very aware of how I perceive this life.
Yeah. And so you know that they will. Yeah.
Yeah, I already told them that I don't want any of those shenanigans with and all of that.
Yeah, my daughter's the same. Yeah. No. Absolutely. So you would feel confident in them being there, having their experience and living in that, as much as it wouldn't be.
I mean, what can you say? They are their own. They are their own selves now, right? I can only show them, because I've been here a little bit longer. I can only show them what I've been through. But again, it's not going to mean that they are going to go live the same thing as I did. But at the same time, I can share with them my knowledge and the things that I have. And if they want to listen, it's okay. And if they don't want to, it's okay by me, Mm-hmm. I mean, I have my relationship with my hubby 25 years now. We've been together, and we were talking the other day, and I said to him, listen, if I go first, make sure that you are next, because I mean, what's the point, one of us being here without the other? I mean, I think that the only reason I'm here, it's because of you, because you came first, then I had to come and help you, and here we are now. So when we go, we go. It's this type of way of me looking at things that I know it may shock people. It shocks them a lot, because I have no attachments, guys. I lost that idea of fantasizing of this is no, fuck this. This is hell. We are living in hell. Like you were saying, we didn't ask for this. I didn't sign any fucking contract to be living this way. We are the only humans that pay to live in here. Fuck you. I don't want that. And if I have to go, and create that other reality, I prefer to go. Before Baron David Ward left, it left me with a thing that he was. I said to him, "Okay, Baron, what's next?" And he told me, "Well, for me, what's next is I need to go out of this shit show, so I can start touching more of you and make your asses go and move and spread the
Did
affidavit."
he did he live long enough to see the implications of COVID? What was happening there?
Yeah. He
Ah.
passed away in 2021.
Oh wow.
22? No,
Okay.
2021. Yeah.
So he had about a year. He had about a year of it, so he could see.
Yeah, the shit show. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, if you go and start reading, I normally what I do, I bring his posts, and I keep posting them, because one of the things that he always said is repetition. Repetition is key. So I always bring his posts, and I bring them back so in my channel, so people can keep reading, because they are full of gems. And I mean, yeah, me and him, I think we had this way of looking at this shit show completely different.
Yeah.
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 And we see it as for what it is. Yeah, we have the affidavit, yeah, we have the liens, but I mean, yeah, if you are expecting a solution, a magical solution or a magic wand, you are going to go for a big ride, because this has nothing to do with that. And at the same time it has, because either you are in your full power, or the paperwork won't do anything for you. And that's how the most transparent I can be,
I understand. In other words, yeah. In other words, the words alchemize you foundationally, don't they? Because of what they mean. Yeah, I understand that. I'm getting glimpses of that, and I really understand that. And it's the value is not in beating bailiffs from the door. It's in the change in me, change of becoming free from these illusions that have been implanted in terms of higher authorities. And I'm amazed. I'm in my 50s. I'm amazed that they actually exist. I actually thought that I was a really individual, rebellious, and I am in most areas of my life. But my God, the programming runs so deep that it literally unravels and unravels.
Yeah, you have to learn how to become Morpheus inside the Matrix.
Yeah,
that's what we are now. Us that been with Affidavit, that's what we became. We've became Morpheus. Yeah.
Did you say Morpheus?
Yeah, the Morpheus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Inside of the Matrix. You can go inside of the Matrix, but they don't see you.
Yeah. I don't actually know that film, bizarrely, so I don't really know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Go watch it. It's really good.
I've been, every time, I tell you what I've done in the last 3 years, amongst, learning and researching everything that hasn't made sense, and going back and looking at things, and proving that viruses are not what viruses are, material evidence for that virus that doesn't exist actually when you go back. So as I said, this whole structure of confusing us has happened in every field, because it's the same people, of course. But I've gone back and watched loads of sci-fi movies that I loved as a kid, and my God, they're all full of they're all full of programming. They're all programming. Stuff that I thought was benevolent, stuff like Logan's Run as a teenager. I thought that was wild. Thought Silent Running was wild. And my God, you go back to it, and it's like, oh my God, that's climate agenda. That's living inside bubbles because we've destroyed humanity. They've even got the dates in Soylent Green. It's in 2022. So they've been on this. They realize that our belief systems, the way in which we see reality, is the fundamental thing they need to get involved with. So from Freud to Bernays to religious beliefs, they've tried to get inside the way that we perceive this reality, and to kind of lead there. So we believe it's our own. So we believe it's our own creation. That's perfect. That's perfect. That's what I see when I look around. I see people that literally believe that this is their creation. That's the most terrifying thing, to see beautiful people literally believing that this is our creation. But yeah,
in a way, it is our creation because it is.
Well, yeah, of course, it's not black and white.
We didn't question. We accepted everything. I mean, one of the things that you have in the affidavit,
we let them get away with it all our lives. We decided we were too busy narcissistically following our careers and like dealing with our barbecue and going on holiday. When egregious acts happened on the other side of the world, it was distant, and some of us campaigned, some of us tried to bring it, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good dinner conversation, and people thought we were being negative. So quickly we learned to kind of go. I mean, to be honest, I had a daughter. I was very, very awake, like 28 to 30. Became a yogi and found loads of stuff out during that period for 5 years. But it wasn't good for. It wasn't good for like family conversations and meeting people at parties, to be talking about the reality of this existence. So I learned to dumb it down too. So we're all responsible for this dumbed down shit show where we've allowed them to get away with it. But I think that's allowing psychopaths off the hook, because I know that my brothers and sisters are benevolent, beautiful people that can be frauded, and it doesn't make them evil to be gullible. Yeah. So my family members and friends and stuff out there that have been gullible, that I don't speak to at the moment, I love them all, and it's not their fault that they've been frauded. It's not their fault. And it takes a lot to get there, because I've been angry and triangulated by a cult. As you say, they create the fight to create the triangulation so that we're all split up, and we're all split up. That's a really basic dynamic of any abuser, right? Mm-hmm. That's what they do. They can't help it. That's what they do. They split us all up, triangulate us, turn us against each other. They control both sides as well of a dialectic. There's always a dialectic. You know that word? There's always a dialectic. Yeah. Always. True. The best example of that is the political system. So we ignore. I'm sure you've ignored that binary choice for decades, haven't you? I mean, I haven't gone political. I've always known they control both sides. There's no point. They're all going the same. There's no point. So,
I didn't even knew that there was dictionaries for the legalese.
Right.
Was. Yeah, I didn't know. I thought that one dictionary would be for everything. Yeah. For what was for my surprise that after all the word person, it doesn't mean the same thing in English and legalese.
I mean, where do you stand on things like Black's Law and stuff like that? I mean, I can't go there.
It was Black's Law that decided to change the definition. I mean, who the fuck gave him permission to do such a thing?
Yeah. I know people that literally read Black's Law as like a way forward.
I mean, really, you never agreed to it. It doesn't really matter, does it? I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. If you don't understand my word, you can't ask a dictionary. You have to come and ask me.
I love that quote in the affidavit, which obviously is a primary function of humanity. It's not owned by Baron David Ward, but he reminds me of it, and he's voiced it maybe in a different way. Your rights end where mine begin, and mine begin where yours end, or whatever it is. It was great to read that again. Again, a fundamental truth that is so simple, but so embedded. It should be all there is, really.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
because what he was showing there is that there is no rights. When people come at you with, "Oh, but I have rights," no, you don't. Your rights are your own, and no man can give you or take them away from you. It's absurd. Stop living in lies.
apart from we can't allow this thing where, I mean, we live at the moment in a, you know, a post-truth, as in like they're trying to blur. Like, I mean, look at genders. I mean, look at your kids. They're trying to like gaslight what reality is on every form in terms of like what even the genders are. I mean, you're talking to a yogi here who's very, very versed in the idea of, yeah, sure, we all have different combinations of male and female. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can dig into that, of course. But in
It's
terms
not a
of like
fact.
but in terms of
It's not a fact.
gaslighting like the womb and the function of the womb, I don't really want to get into this post-truth world where where we don't have rights, really, because we should know what is right. I don't think that's subjective. I think it's objective. I think we know what right is. We know what right is. I know not to steal from you. I know not to harm you. I don't think that's subjective. But I think in this world maybe that's been disconnected so that we give that authority over to legalese people and people that know the law, and then we seek to gain advantage from people and we try and get away with it, and we buy into the game. But if you're connected to the fact that why would I harm you? I'd be harming me. There's no point. There's fucking no point. So, all these deeper truths we've been dislocated from. But I don't think. So I think that's a bit of a dangerous area. But I don't think you necessarily meant that. I don't want psychopaths
No.
coming and saying truth doesn't exist. Watch it.
I stand by every word I say.
Oh, okay,
it's
good.
my honor.
Yeah.
So
okay.
every word I say, it's there and it's done. And if I am not correct,
but we know, don't we? In a situation here on Earth, you and I will be able to, not presumption of truth, we would be able to work out what truth is and what is fact.
Yeah.
Well, not let's leave fact out. We would be able to work out what is truth, the law. Exactly. The law of truth.
It's always where you have a man or two men, that they can bear witnesses, you have the truth, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, for people to think that, oh, my rights come from the Constitution, oh, my rights come from no, they don't.
Yeah.
Get out of there. How can the dead write something and it still prevails until today? Are you living in a world of the dead, or are you living in a world of the living? That's my point.
How can they give you rights or take them away, right? Yeah, totally.
Your rights don't come from a piece of paper written by that people. It cannot, And if you play that game, I mean, either you are very aware that every single piece of legislation that is out there, or statutes, they cannot trump your rights given by the Constitution. So what the hell are we talking about?
What blew me away, I mean, just a simple fact that you guys know, which I didn't know. I didn't know there were 8 million acts and statutes. I didn't know that 8,000 each year. And until COVID, when they started threatening, acts and statutes with regard to your freedom and what would happen, that was the first time that I actually began. That was only the first time, bizarrely, that I kind of went, okay, acts and statutes aren't law. But even within that statement, there is an acknowledgement of, I have a slight problem even with that.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question with that, because even by saying these acts and statutes don't exist in that law, I'm still giving power to that law.
No. They use the acts and statutes, make you think that it is the law.
That it's law. I know. I understand that. Yes.
Yeah.
But if they were, but what's to stop them? I mean, I, for example, know that they are trying to move that law system over something called communitarian law. Now, communitarian law is to take away, this won't surprise you and you'll probably even know it, but a lot of people don't know this term communitarian. But basically what it means is to take away individual rights and to move those across where individual rights are for the greater good as well. So everything I do has an equal right for the greater good. So they can claim that your personal rights are going to be taken away let's look at it in terms of COVID. You have the responsibility for everybody. Look, for everybody else's health, you have the responsibility to take an experimental medical procedure, right? For the sake of the planet, you have the responsibility. This is the communitarian law. This is why they need it, because they need to pull apart the individual rights so that you are responsible to the greater good as prescribed by the psychopaths. Again, that's what they want you to ignore. The fact it's the same old people in the middle going, you know.
Yeah, but that applies to who? But that applies to who?
So my concern there is if they were able to bring that into law, we wouldn't be able then to kind of go, acts and statutes ain't law, because they've completely revolutionized what is law.
But the thing is that there is no law. It's not
right. Okay, good point. Yes.
There is no law because no one agreed to what law is.
Yeah, okay, so that's the next layer. That's the next layer. Yeah, exactly. Good. Well reminded.
If you don't have my agreement or the 60.7 million agreement, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know,
I'm slightly playing with lower hanging fruit, which is acts and statutes aren't law. Right. Whereas the level above that is that there is no law. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Yes. I got you.
Yes, we are 3 hours and 35 minutes. And
I know, ridiculous.
I'm gonna invite you to come to Divergent again, because I think that this isn't over, is it? We still have a lot.
I've actually got, you know what? I've got 30 questions for you here, and I think I've covered 2. Terrible.
Okay, so we are going to leave.
But let's call this an introduction, and then I'll keep going with this.
Yeah.
You know, I'll try and fly a bit more, and I'll come back to you at a slightly higher level, and we'll pick this up, right?
Yes, exactly.
But thank you for your insight. That was very valuable and lovely. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, it was lovely to have you here, and it's amazing to see, because I see you are full of like strength and power, and I am really sure that because I call the affidavit has 5 stages. Yeah, so you have to go through the 5 stages, which is the first one is you want to spread it to everyone. The second one, you went into rage and I just want to see all the criminals. You see them all. The third one, you go in a retreat. You isolate yourself from everything and everyone. Yeah. And then the fourth one, you come back to the affidavit, but this time you come back naked, no emotions, no expectations, nothing whatsoever. Yeah. And the 6th is where we is when you start to taking action.
Yeah.
Creating new. I mean. Yeah. So you need this 5 steps, and you need to go through all of them. And sometimes you can go through all of them at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. I'll let you know.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll let you know if your 6-point plan works out for me. But anyway, lovely to speak to you.
Lovely to speak with you. And
fantastic.
We will talk. I don't know if you are on Telegram or not.
I made that mistake of joining 5,000 groups, and now every time I go back there, I'm 5 million posts behind and I can't be bothered. So I've got my little group of 10 people that we share stuff with. I'm on WhatsApp. I go to Telegram literally once a month. So please don't pull me there because it's like millions.
No, so
I need to clear out all those groups basically.
Yeah, we book another call through Anthony.
Yeah, or I can give you. I can give you my mobile and you can text, or we can WhatsApp. Are you on WhatsApp or anything?
Yeah. Okay. So let me just. I'm not going to give it to everybody here in the live. So guys, it was lovely to see you. You know the drill. Share the video if you think it's important for other people to see, and thank you so much for Gas to be able to come here to give us his divergent motivation kind of introduction, and we will have him again with us. So guys, thank you, and I'll see you when I see you.